It's a really dangerous time of day, but Yeon doesn't care, which is why she is out here taking care of a tree. She just finishes pruning it and gives it a nutrient injection before assuring the tree that it will be okay. At this point, one would think she is crazy, but then she asks the tree why the mountain owner has abandoned it and the others, making her look even more crazy. She scoffs at the owner's nonchalance towards the trees and plans to check a few more trees before she heads home. It's a kind thing to do, but tonight looks too calm to be normal. Even so, to Yeon, this night is like every other night, because her day went by like every other day, filled with work and dealing with clients. Now, she's conducting her routine checks on abandoned trees, not knowing that in these mountains an injured man is begging to be saved. He is about to fall into a pit and promises to tell his pursuer all he knows, just to be spared. His pursuer, who is clearly a deviant, mocks him for begging to be saved. He then tells his victim that he should be begging to be finished off, as the show has just begun. After that declaration, he stomps the man into the hole. It is at this point that Yeon accidentally walks into the picture, although she hasn't been spotted yet. From a distance, she watches in fear, asking herself what she is witnessing. Finally, she concludes that it's a murder scene that needs to be reported right away, so she reaches into her overalls to get her phone while slowly backpedaling. Unfortunately for her, she steps on a twig that snaps immediately, alerting the deviant who is covering up the victim. As he stops what he's doing, cold sweat rushes down Yeon's face. She hopes she hasn't been caught and is stunned to see that there's another body by the deviant, which makes her confirm the guy is a professional killer. Since Yeon can't tell if he noticed her or not, she wonders if she should move, knowing fully well that if she moves, she will be spotted. At this point, she doesn't know what to do, but then the deviant spots her, putting her in a tighter position. With a sinister smile on his face, the deviant addresses Yeon, asking her if she doesn't plan to run away now. Hearing the words, "run away," is enough encouragement for Yeon to bolt away as fast as possible. The deviant, still with an evil smile on his face, watches her dash off, giving her a head start before he goes after her. Yeon, while making her way through the dimly lit, bushy mountains, succeeds in getting a hold of the police and tells them what's going on. Now, instead of the police focusing on the fact that Yeon is in danger, they are more focused on whether or not she is sure it is a person being buried. When she assures them she knows what she saw, they try to ID her, and after telling them her name, she begs that they come before she meets her end. The officer on the phone promises Yeon that officers are being dispatched to her location immediately, but warns her that if she is pranking them, she will be fined. Yeon agrees, repeating that the officers should hurry, when she notices some strings about to come in contact with her neck. When they finally do, Yeon is at the mercy of the deviant, who mockingly tells her she dropped her chainsaw. He then mockingly admonishes her to take better care of it, and hands it over to her, while she wonders if this is her end. All her life she has lived quietly without trouble, and she is finally about to achieve her dream life, so she doesn't understand why she will perish in the hands of a killer. The determination to live lights a fire in Yeon, motivating her to take the chainsaw and bash it on the deviant. When she looks up, to her surprise, he is still okay, with a little bruise on his face and a scared look in his eyes. Yeon doesn't understand the look, but then the second guy who is about to be buried comes up from behind and strikes the deviant in the back of his head. Yeon is shocked to see this, staring in horror as the deviant tries to fight back, but ends up losing consciousness and passing out. When the man confirms the deviant is down, he drops the rock he used and dashes off. Yeon, on the other hand, stays back, staring at the collapsed deviant, panicking. Well, that is why this man will end up as her secret patient. A vegetative patient that will be bedridden for 2 years. For now, he is still in a coma, 2 years after the incident that brought Yeon to him. Yeon, on the other hand, is going about her tree doctor business. She has just checked a tree and discovers it's suffering from constipation. The principal looks shocked when she tells him this, seeking a clearer explanation. So Yeon tells him the tree has a pooping problem. She adds that whether it is a plant or a person, excretion is important. A theory she calls the healthy bowel movement. But the man still doesn't get it. Out of frustration, however, he shouts at the top of his voice, demanding a clearer explanation. frightening some kids nearby in the process. When the principal notices the kids' reaction, he reverts to a more calm mood and pleads with Yan to save the tree. He points out that the tree is the school's official tree and a symbol of the children's greenery. Yan can handle it and assured the man that the treatment process isn't difficult. According to her, it's just when nutrients go in, but have a hard time being excreted, like humans. What she doesn't know is that under that principal's pleading is a dubious old man who sees her as foolish and intends to use that to his advantage. He plans to do that by making her work herself to exhaustion fixing the trees, only to ruin them again afterwards. He isn't even paying attention to Yan's explanations, and internally smiles mischievously, intending to get his treatment fees refunded and even sue for damages. It looks like he has everything in the bag when Yan calls out to him and tells him he has something he's hiding. Sensing the Yan is unto him, the principal starts to feel uneasy. She then tells him that she heard the school recently expanded its buildings. She lists out all the materials used that she feels were left, and accuses the principal of mixing them and dumping them on the tree's soil. She states that because of this, the tree is unable to grow and will eventually develop root disease. The principal still tries to play dumb, but Yan pushes further, accusing the man of dumping all that on the tree to save him the cost of waste disposal. She feels that since he was this cruel, it's best she report the matter to City Hall and advise him to get ready to cough up more than he saved. She repeats that excretion is as important to plants as it is to humans and bids the principal goodbye, without paying attention to his shocked expression. The principal, seeing that the cat is already out of the bag, tries to reason with Yan. He begs her to listen to him, but she isn't willing to until she gives it a little more thought and realizes that going back like this would only earn her some scolding. Because of this, she returns to the principal and tells him that she is a doctor who wants to be the voice for the trees. She adds that she is the best at saving plants and eliminating them when necessary. Nevertheless, she doesn't tell him that she loves eliminating guardians like him more than eliminating plants. Then, with a cheerful smile on her face, she hands him a complimentary card and welcomes him to visit their tree hospital often, before she leaves. On her way back to the office, Yan complains about how her being a female doctor always makes people feel she is an easy target, and motivates them to try and start a power struggle. Still, it isn't anything Yan can't handle. After all, she has already come across various stubborn old men in her line of work. Suddenly, Yan's conversation with herself is cut short by an incoming call. When she takes the call, she realizes it's her boss. Her boss warns her that if she doesn't come in 5 minutes, she will break down a door on the second floor. Hearing this, Yan puts her foot on the gas while she tries to reason with her boss. Her boss explains that she is doing this because she heard another sound coming from the room. Yan tries to tell her that she must have misheard, as sounds couldn't come from an empty room. However, her boss doesn't buy the act, informing Yan that she has already called a locksmith. Hearing this makes Yan panic even more, so she begs her boss to give her 3 minutes and not open the door until she gets there. Once she hangs up, the locksmith asks if he is still to unlock the door, and Yan's boss gives him the go-ahead. It's clear she is curious to see the secrets that lie within that door, but Yan doesn't want that. She has little time to get to the office since the locksmith claims it wouldn't take long for him to unlock the door. If Yan is even a second late, her boss and the locksmith will know about the sleeping deviant she hides behind that door. Luckily for her, her secret might stay hidden since she can arrive at the office on time. As she makes her way up the stairs, the locksmith has just started dismantling the lock, and she arrives just in time to stop him. Yan's boss is unhappy about the intrusion, but nonetheless, she watches her settle the locksmith and send him away. She then announces her frustration that Yan arrived so early, stating that the lock was to be handled quickly. An annoyed Yan rushes over to her boss, takes her by the collar, and reminds her that the second floor is off limits because it has a different owner. Her boss just nonchalantly brushes off Yan's words, claiming that she has been making a lot of excuses to keep that room a secret. When Yan tries to explain herself, her boss doesn't let her. She demands to know why she doesn't trust her after they have been working together for so long. Yan suspects that there are gold bars in the room and promises she won't steal them, but she is so far from the truth. Yan would have loved someone to steal this problem from her, but to keep her boss safe, she stands by her lie that the room is empty. Her stubborn boss tells her she would like to breathe the air in that empty room, But Yan claims that would be unhealthy because the room isn't ventilated. She has to make sure no one enters the room, even if she is viewed as a liar, because her life would be over if anyone entered the room. Why? Well, because of some guy named Gishok, the deviant's elder brother that she met the day of the incident. It happened that 2 years back, she woke up imprisoned in a shady-looking with this man casually seated before her. At first, she didn't know who he was, but recalled her last memory was from the mountain. Although she was confused, Yeon was calm until she noticed she was in an abattoir. The sight of meat being sliced and the stench of blood set Yeon in disarray. Kwon stayed silent, however, until he noticed she was panicking, and then he asked her why she did what she did. Yeon was scared and confused, so Kwon made himself clear by informing her that the person she tried to kill was his younger brother. That only made Yeon's panic grow, as she realized that both the deviant and his brother were insane, so she was in a terrible position. Nevertheless, she refused to stay silent, forcing herself to tell Kwon that he was misunderstanding things. She claimed she was only defending herself, and wasn't even the one who dealt him the final blow. Yeon also told Kwon about how his brother killed some and was burying another, but he bluntly asked her what the deal was with burying one person. At that point, she knew she was in more trouble than she had thought. Kwon then told Yeon that he was just annoyed that his fun was interrupted and asked her how she viewed his brother. The poor girl didn't know how to answer the question. She knew she was dealing with a person who didn't grasp common sense and decided to try begging more. She pleaded that she wasn't the one who knocked out his brother and was at the mountain because she wanted to take care of the trees. She kept pleading that she wasn't the one, and knew that with the way things were going, her life would be ruined. To get herself out of this situation, she decided to snitch and informed Kwon that it was one of the persons his brother was trying to bury that struck him from behind with a stone. She also confessed to hitting the guy with a chainsaw in self-defense, but to Kwon, her story didn't add up. He claimed his brother had sharp hearing and was not so oblivious and insensitive, not to notice someone sneaking up on him from behind and striking him. Hearing that only made Yeon sorry even more. She knew she had to get out of there by any means necessary, but didn't know what to do. Luckily for her, the heavens smiled upon her, when suddenly, Kwon called Yeon by her name and told her he didn't care about the details of what happened. He could make her the perfect perpetrator if he wanted, but since she was the one who saw his brother enter into a vegetative state, he just wanted her to pay the price. Yeon didn't understand how that man entered into a vegetative state, but then understood the look on his face after she hit him with the saw. Kwon's words may have made her feel like she wasn't going to make it out of there alive, but then he offered her a deal. According to him, she would get out of there unharmed if she acted a little smarter. When she asked about the deal, he admonished her for being quick to understand and dropped a contract for her. After that, Kwon's men uncuffed her to enable her to sign the contract. Since she wasn't going to have any time to go through it, he explained that all Yeon had to do was take care of his brother until he found the real culprit and put him in her position. Kwon told Yeon that it would be better if she made sure his brother didn't leave the Wydome, where they lived, and was permitted to bind him if necessary. All that happened 2 years ago. Back in present times, it's midnight and Yeon goes to check on the deviant. She observes him, thinking about how he still sleeps peacefully like a plant. All she knows about him for the past 2 years is that his name is Kwon Chai-woo. Only Yeon and Gishok knew what actually happened, since a day after the incident, the crime scene was already cleaned up. Because of that, the police made her pay a fine as charges of a false report. Also, the second floor of the house was built in the blink of an eye after Yeon signed the contract, and medical staff were constantly on standby to take care of him. It is all very shocking, but what shocks Yeon the most is the atmosphere of the wealthy. Gishok had told her it wouldn't be hard for him to make her the perfect perpetrator, and she knows those words weren't just an exaggeration. Unfortunately, that means she has to keep Chae-woo in Wydome safely until the real culprit is found. Yeon knows that wouldn't be easy, so she silently prays that Chae-woo never wakes up. If he stays asleep, she can keep living quietly. So that's her daily prayer. Unfortunately for her, not all our prayers are answered, and Chae-woo's finger moving means her quiet days might be coming to an end soon. The following day, Yan is going about her business when her boss calls and asks her to check out the son of the Seoul landscaping company. Yan just looks up for a bit and then goes back to work, pointing out that her boss's new love interest is old enough to be her grandchild. Her boss then surprises her, informing her that this man is not for her but for Yan. The guy has come to Korea for a marriage meeting, so Yan sees this as the best opportunity for them. Yan wishes to know what type of opportunity her boss is talking about, so she explains that their tree hospital needs funding. Apparently, the Dongseo hospital has taken most of its clients, and it is staying afloat with contracts from the neighborhood houses and community centers. This is because the people at the other tree hospital have good business skills, which gives Yan a lot to consider. Last she checked, the Dongseo hospital made its entrance into Hwaidome with a 5-story building and aggressively took over everything with its persuasion skills. Still, the hospital has some secrets that Yan knows about, and we might get to know about later. Until then, let's focus on now and how Yeon's boss feels that involving Yeon with the son of the landscaping company is like taking back what was stolen from them. The old lady even went as far as getting Yeon a queue number and suggests that she just go and have a cup of tea with the guy. Yeon audibly refuses to go through with this, and when she is asked why, she says it's because she is not a good digger. To her, this method is too sketchy, but her boss shuns her, accusing her of spewing crap. She plainly tells Yeon that she does not have the skills or personality of a good digger, so she should stop being dramatic. She adds that she is just asking Yeon to go and introduce herself and make a good impression. Now frustrated, Yeon asks her boss how she knew about the Seoul heir's return and wants a better explanation of the queue number talk. Her boss then informs her that the young man's father tipped her off, so Yeon wants to know why he would do such a thing. Well, he tipped her off because they used to work together, which is news to Yeon. Her boss doesn't know why Yeon is so surprised by this news, but she ignores it and tells her that a good spouse is not found by fate, but chosen with foresight. She also tells Yeon that even if she eats the best, she will rot with her attitude. While she is still talking, however, Yeon excuses herself, claiming she wants to go check the garden. Her excuse pisses off her boss, but the old lady just lets her have her way, wondering if she is planning to spend the rest of her life alone. Outside, under warm sun rays, Yeon thinks about how relationships are poison to her, and she just wants to live quietly, tending to her plants undisturbed. She wants things to be as peaceful as they are now, but then she recalls that she has a killer hidden in her house. His presence doesn't exactly count as nothing happening, so a lot has already happened, and she just has to get used to it all eventually. When Yeon first brought Chae-woo to her home, she was terrified, scared that he could wake up at any minute, so she couldn't relax. Nonetheless, as days went by and he still slumbered, her fears turned to relief. It is midnight again, the start of another day, when Yeon decides to go to bed. However, before going to bed, she has to head upstairs and check the second floor, as it has become her daily ritual. She is just doing this to make sure tomorrow is as safe as today, and pray Chae-woo doesn't wake up. Unfortunately for her, her peace and quiet are over, as Chae-woo is not in his bed. And the sight of the empty bed shakes Yeon to the core. All she can think about now is Gishok, and how he will come after her. She starts muttering to herself that she has to find Chae-woo no matter what. When Yeon rushes into the room properly, we see the escapee standing by the door quietly. Before she knows it, he grabs her, making her worry that she is going to die today. As Chae-woo pins Yeon down, she struggles to break free, but her efforts ultimately amount to nothing. She then starts to think about how all that's happening doesn't make sense. This man has been bedridden for 2 years, and that means his muscles should have completely atrophied, so she can't understand why he is so strong. She decides to shift that thought aside and tries to tell Chae-woo to let her go, but he doesn't listen. Since all she is doing isn't working, Yeon tells herself to calm down, and while addressing Chae-woo by his name, she tells him that his body is not in a normal state, and he'll need to let go of her so she can call a doctor. In response, he shushes her, making her panic more, but he warns her to stay quiet and answer his questions. She does as he asks and goes silent, and then he asks her if she locked him up or he locked her up. On hearing the question, Yeon screams at the top of her voice that she didn't lock him up and wonders what kind of life he has lived. Nevertheless, to To get herself out of this position, she tries to tell him that it's nothing serious, and he was a patient for a long time. She breaks it to him that he's been unconscious for 2 years and begs him to calm down, but he just turns her over and looks her dead in the eye. For a second, Jan is taken aback by his eyes, as his amber pupils glow even in the dark, like that of a beast. Still, she tries to calm him down by calling his name, but he gazes at her with a gaze so empty, like a bottomless pit. He then leans in and seeks to know if Chae-woo is probably his name. Jan is stunned by the question and just stares at him, confused, as he asks her if she is someone important to him. Since she is lost in thought and doesn't respond, he holds a syringe to her neck and asks if the opposite is the case and if she is someone he wouldn't hesitate to kill. That's when it hits her, that Chae-woo has lost his memories. Well, if he has truly lost his memories, then Jan plans to use this to her advantage and find a way to be safe around him. Compared to what she has faced so far, this is nothing. So Jan puts up an act, pretending to be hurt that Chae-woo doesn't recognize her. She claims that she is important and has a connection with each other, and is someone who has met him in a much more intimate way. That's if catching him attempting murder and meeting his brother counts as intimate. Jan finishes off her speech by claiming they are in a tangled and complicated relationship that just can't be cut off by will. By that, she means the contract she signed with Chae-woo's elder brother, Gishok, but no one is telling him that. After hearing all this, Chae-woo observes Jan closely. He notices that she is shaking and asks why. He then asks her if she had her finger taken away and sold, or is there to suck off some stupid person. In the end, those questions aren't even directed at her, but are the only things he remembers. Jan starts panicking again, but assures Chae-woo they aren't like that. She tries to convince him that they are very close and he is very kind. So kind that he put a necklace on her. Well, the necklace she is talking about is the string he had around her neck 2 years ago. But he doesn't know that. What he does know is that Jan's replies sound like she is brainwashed. So Chae-woo feels like he really must have been a bad person. Nevertheless, Jan assures Chae-woo she has not been brainwashed. On the contrary, she is the one trying to do the brainwashing. She then tells him that she is reacting this way because he has never harmed her. So she is surprised he is behaving this way. To her surprise, he asks her, why? It's a blank question at first, but then he makes it clear that he wants to know why he wouldn't harm her. His vibe as he asks this is cold, making it hard for Jan to muster a response. But then Chae-woo feels a sharp pain in the head and collapses. Seeing this, Jan starts calling his name. However, before he collapsed that night, Jan sowed a seed. When Chae-woo asked her why he wouldn't harm her, she told him that it was because it was mandated by law. She recalled the words her boss told her earlier about how a solid partner was not found by fate, but by foresight reasoning. So, to ensure her safety, Jan lied to Chae-woo that she was his wife. Maybe that's why he collapsed. A month has passed since the incident with Chae-woo, and Jan is discussing with a client about her tree that was struck by lightning the previous night. Her client complains that the tree before them is the one she planted with her husband when their son was young. The boy has grown and is now in the army, making her worry that something will happen to him because of this ominous sign. Jan simply asks for permission to sexamine the tree. When she does, she discovers that she can actually treat the damage since it has not reached the roots. Her boss, on the other hand, silently asks her if this tree is worth it. It is already in bad shape, and she is scared that if this fails, Jan will be blamed. Nevertheless, Jan doesn't care about that. What matters to her is that this tree is important to the old lady, as it was planted for her son's birthday. Because of that, she feels they should try everything to save it. When she asks her boss if there is any tree medicine at the office, she tells her there is, but she is about to address something else when Jan gets a call. Maybe she wants to address how stressed Jan has been lately, but Jan asks for permission to take her call. When she does take it, it turns out to be a call from the hospital. The caller tells her he doesn't know when Chae-woo will wake up again. Jan then complains about how he pinned her down the other night. The doctor explains that although Chae-woo woke up that day, after a 2-year slumber, he can't tell when he will wake up again. He informs Yan that although Chae-woo's recovery has been rapid, he is showing rare symptoms of a sickness known as hypersomnia. The doctor adds that this sickness is also known as the sleeping beauty disease, and although they have conducted all possible tests, they cannot find its clear cause. He also noticed that aside from amnesia, Chae-woo has no other abnormality in the brain, so they can only suspect for now. According to the doctor, they have to monitor the patient a little more to see if their diagnosis is correct. Normally, when a hypersomnia patient goes to sleep, they do not know when the next person will wake up. For Chae-woo, his time increased from 3 to 5, but now it has been 12 days and he hasn't woken up. Yeon, before the doctor hands up, seeks to confirm if what he is saying is that they don't know when Chae-woo will wake up. He affirms that is what he is trying to say, and Yeon heaves a sigh of relief. She gleefully thanks the doctor and encourages him to work harder, but the doctor is stunned by the tone of her voice. When Yeon returns, she apologizes for keeping the ladies waiting, and with all life in her, promises to do her best to save the tree. Those words give the old lady hope, and also let Yeon's boss know that she has worked out her issues. The doctor, on the other hand, is still puzzled by Yeon's response. He believes she responded that way because she is under a lot of stress, and her emotions are unstable. Suddenly, the doctor recalls that he forgot to mention that the sleeping beauty disease comes with abnormal behavior, excessive eating, aggression, and hypersexuality. Instead of calling her back to let her know, he just lets this slide since they don't know when Chae-woo will wake up. He makes up his mind to inform her about this later and goes to have lunch. On his way to lunch, the doctor thinks about Gishok and how he must be worried about his younger brother. If it is up to him, they'd move Chae-woo to a bigger hospital with better facilities. But since it isn't up to him, he will say nothing as they take Chae-woo back to Yeon's place. What matters to him right now is collecting what he is owed and doing what he is told, so he'll stick with that. Still, what Chae-woo kept repeating when he woke up was bothering the doctor. While he was trying to rally him to talk, he kept saying, "Please don't wake up," which is actually very strange. Fast forward to a few days after her talk with the doctor, it's another ordinary night and Yeon is at home. She's about to go to bed, but before she does so, she has to check on Chae-woo. It's been 2 years since she got stuck with him, but right now she is so grateful because she can make things work to her advantage. Well, that's because a month back, she lied to Chae-woo that she was his wife. It was an insane lie which she regretted for a while, but since the one she fears is out cold and no one knows when he will wake up, she feels she has a chance to clean up her mess. To her, that's a miracle. But since he was discharged from the hospital and returned to her house today, she just wants to check on him. To her surprise, Chae-woo is not in bed. His absence makes her curse him under her breath. She runs out to the street to check for him. She knows he isn't in good shape, so he couldn't have gone far, but after running around the whole place and not finding him, she wonders what will happen if she doesn't find him. Suddenly, she spots a blood trail on the floor and her heart skips a beat. She uses her eyes to follow the blood trail, and at its end is Chae-woo, standing there with a slain rooster in hand. In his eyes, there's a cold, beastly look, frightening Yeon to the point that she starts backpedaling. Nevertheless, before she can go any further, she calls herself to order and starts thinking about how she will drag Chae-woo home. She decides to start by calmly asking him how he is out here when he can barely move. Then she tells him to put down the chicken. But he doesn't respond. When she persists, she realizes that he ripped the chicken with his mouth and gets irritated. She is about barfing out of disgust when Chae-woo asks her where she has been. He tells her that the only face he remembered when he woke up was hers, and since the door didn't open, he broke it down to go look for her. All this helps Yeon confirm that he remembers her, which is why she starts panicking again. Luckily for her, she wills herself into calming down, encouraging herself by thinking about how much room she has to change things to her advantage. Instead of riding on with the wife lie, she decides to tell him he is getting things wrong and lies that she is the doctor taking care of him. She is a tree doctor after all. Yeon tries to explain Chae-woo's condition to him in the best way possible, focusing on how he has slumbered for long, which is why he is unstable now. She also tries to make him believe that he is just hearing and seeing things that are messing with his brain. She concludes her sorry speech by assuring Chae-woo that there's nothing to worry about, and everything he is experiencing now is a dream. She then promises him that if he goes back home and has proper rest, when he wakes up, he will feel much better. It's a bold lie, and at first it looks like Chae-woo is buying it, because he agrees that if it were real, he probably wouldn't even be standing here. Suddenly, he confesses that he had spent his whole time asleep, dreaming about being intimate with his wife. Because of that, he is sure he is not confused. In fact, he gets things crystal clear now. In this crystal clear view of his, he has a wife, and that wife is trying to run away from him like she has a death wish. Hearing those words come out of Chae-woo's lips makes her feel like vines are holding her down, but she can't do anything about them. Right now, she wants to run away. She also wants to tell Chae-woo that he is wrong. She wants to say anything to get her out of this mess, but she can't. Why? Because she just got caught in a trap she set. It's all so suffocating and she can't move, at least until Chae-woo asks for her name. She wonders if she should tell him her real name or not, but he has asked twice and is getting impatient. Out of that impatience, he tells her he doesn't want to ask the third time, so she hurriedly tells him her name is Soli Yan. After pondering on her name for some seconds, before asking her if she lied to him because she got tired of him and wanted to ditch him. Yan claims that he is seeing things wrongly. She tells him that she lied because she felt him waking up to realize he has a wife would be disturbing and she was just looking out for him. It looks like he is buying Yeon's lie again, and all she can think about is how she needs to survive this situation. However, he scolds her for pulling such a stunt on him and reminds her of her own declaration that the law says they are married. He then wants to know if Yeon is trying to abandon him, observing her closely as he asks. He concludes from the puppy dog look in Yeon's eyes that he truly is her husband. He also feels that way because when she tried to abandon him, he almost lost his mind. Chae-woo believes he felt that way because he really loves Yeon, but she knows that's not the case, as he tried to eliminate her the day they met. It's no surprise that she is annoyed that she has dragged herself into a very awkward position, but is glad that Chae-woo doesn't remember anything. For now, she feels like she has the upper hand and just needs to smooth things over before getting out of the picture. For now, however, she has to focus on getting Chae-woo home so she can treat his wounds. Unfortunately, he wants to know if she means their newlywed home, and she has no other option than to agree. It looks like she is already losing control. Well, whether Yeon has control of everything or not, she manages to drag Chae-woo home and is visibly exhausted because of that. He notices this and points it out. But Yeon doesn't tell him that she is exhausted because of the many questions he threw at her on their way home. Maybe she's also exhausted because she had to drag Chae-woo in a cart, so he tells her that he really would have been able to walk on his own. She knows that, but states that she couldn't let him walk on his own because his body was already covered in wounds. In truth, she didn't let him walk on his own because she knew that if something happened to him, she would be held responsible. With that out of the way, Yeon asks Chae-woo to go take a shower and change his clothes, while she will go get the first aid kit. He does as she asks, and in a few minutes they are seated on his bed, with Yeon taking care of his injuries. While dressing his wounds, Yeon can tell Chae-woo is in quite a bit of pain. Still, he shows no sympathy. Suddenly, she looks up and their eyes meet, forcing her to look away immediately. She goes back to dressing the wound, asking herself why Chae-woo is staring at her so intently. She sees him as a beast stalking its prey, recalling that he is a killer, and whether he is in pain or not is not something she should be concerned about. All that matters to her now is finishing this up quickly, which she does. When she is finished, Yeon tells Chae-woo that she has just done first aid, and the medical team will come around tomorrow to check on him better. She also tells him that she'll be heading downstairs, so he asks why. The question doesn't make sense to Yeon, until Chae-woo reminds her that they are a married couple, so they shouldn't be sleeping apart. Panic sets in again, but she tries to calm down and explain to Chae-woo that they can't sleep together because he is still a patient. He agrees that he is, but wants them to sleep together since he is no longer in a vegetative state. In all her planning, Yeon never saw this coming, and as Chae-woo draws closer to her, she starts to understand how terrible the lie she told is. Luckily for her, he pulls back for a second and declares that since he is not like the husband she knows, he will just lie there like a vegetable and breathe. He promises not to treat her carelessly, force her or threaten her like he did back then, and asks Yeon to spend the night with him. Obviously, she isn't in a position to disagree, so she does as he asks and lies there, next to a killer. Now that they are both in bed, Chae-woo admits that there is a lot he wishes to ask Yeon. She is praying he just sleeps a bit, but still asks him what he is most curious about. It's then he seeks to know how he ended up in a vegetative state. Yeon is annoyed by Chae-woo's persistence, but quickly whips up a lie for him. She shares a half-truth about the incident, stating that they were in the mountains and they fell badly. Hearing this makes Chae-woo worry, demanding to know if Yeon fell as well. She claims she did, but didn't sustain any serious injury. She expected that to be the final question, but Chae-woo tasks her with another one, seeking to know when they got married. She replies that it was 2 years ago. Another half-truth. He doesn't know that and feels like he is the worst, believing that it was because of him that Yeon didn't have a honeymoon. She is surprised by his response, viewing it as a sensible response, when he gets curious again and asks her when they started dating. It's a tough question on its own, but even tougher because Yeon has no imagination and can't cook up any story for him. She knows that she will be busted if he digs deep into her lies and decides to tell Chae-woo that they got married after they met. She doesn't know if this lie is very believable until he asks her if they had a one-night stand. He wants to know if they got intimate on their first meeting and concluded they were meant to be together, a question that causes Yeon to wither. Chae-woo finds that funny, feeling bad that he had forgotten something like that and calls Yeon bold. She ends up losing it and denies things going that way, causing him to think he was the one who seduced her. He finds that both funny and shameless, but Yeon is more interested in why the conversation is heading in the intimate direction. She is not okay with the atmosphere and feels that since they are already sharing a blanket, intimacy is next. She knows she has to stop this from going any further and agrees with Chae-woo that his story is right, even though it didn't play out exactly as he assumes it did. She states that they didn't have good chemistry in the bedroom, confusing him in the process. She now has to lie to Chae-woo that the intimate moment wasn't quite what he was hoping for, blaming it on the both of them being clumsy. To him, this is more shocking than having lost his memory, and he wants to know where exactly he got things wrong. After searching her mind for any knowledge she had gathered all her life to bail her out of this, she comes up with the best excuse. He is next to impotent, and she likes it. As she hoped, the lie crushes Chae-woo's spirit and makes him question if he is truly monk-like, as she claims. She adds that it was because of this that they kept things platonic. Now that his mood is killed and he is feeling insulted, Chae-woo wants to know how much Yeon loves him, for her to stick with him so long after everything. She is annoyed that the misunderstanding is deepening endlessly, but now sees it as a good thing, but tells Chae-woo to go to sleep for now. To keep Chae-woo in check, Yeon knows she needs to ensure that he misunderstands more. She has done a good job staying alive so far and waits till she feels Chae-woo is asleep, so she can pray. She prays that he falls into a deep sleep, a week if possible. To her surprise, he isn't asleep yet and still wants to know about their first intimate moment. It's all to Yeon's advantage, as she uses this opportunity to make him feel even worse about himself. Once he is silenced, she returns to her prayer, using Chae-woo's interference to her advantage as she begs that this man sleep for as long as possible and that his sleeping beauty syndrome kicks in. By morning, rays of sunlight pierce the room, waking Yeon up. When she opens her eyes fully, she realizes that her prayers have not been answered, and Chae-woo is very much awake. He asks Yeon if she slept well, and the room goes silent for a bit. After a few seconds of silence, Yeon jolts out of bed, screaming at the top of her voice in shock. While Chae-woo doesn't understand why she is acting this way, she asks herself why he is awake. She recalls he is supposed to have hypersomnia and calls the doctor to explain what's going on. When he comes, he runs a few tests on Chae-woo and declares that it's too early for them to jump to conclusions. According to him, the patient could go back to sleep anytime, and they need his sleep data to establish a clear pattern. Nevertheless, what Yeon understands is that Chae-woo can wake up again tomorrow. By observation, the doctor realizes that something might have triggered him to wake up, since the hospital and the house have different environments, and asks him what he thinks that thing might be. He is busy jotting down everything when Chae-woo mentions that his sharing a bed with his wife may have been what triggered him to wake up. The doctor casually puts this down before focusing on the whole talk about him having a wife. Now that he has come to his senses, he looks towards Yeon, who avoids his gaze. What the doctor understands is that Yeon and Chae-woo got intimate, but she denies that. So he gets back to his clipboard, suggesting they try a few different approaches. It's not really his business and he is in it for the money. So the doctor suggests they do their best to continue sleeping together for him to monitor their situation. Those words are words Yeon was not expecting. There is no running away from this, so she is trapped in a pit hole she created. Some hours later, Yeon is in her living room, staring at the TV blankly, while thinking about how she is supposed to share a house with Chae-woo. Aside from that, she also has to say something to her boss, Chuja, if Chae-woo starts roaming on the first floor. She comes up with a lot of excuses, but even she can tell none of them will work. For her, who knows nothing about relationships, to lie to a woman like Chuja, who knows everything about relationships, is next to impossible. Although she has become exhausted, doing this by herself and Chuja would make a good aid, Yeon knows she can't drag her into this. The contract she signed with Gishok stated that if the contract leaks to another person, they will be seen as an accomplice. As she kneels on the floor thinking of what to do, the reporter on the TV keeps going on about some scam and advises viewers not to handle things alone, but with the police or someone they trust. This is as good as a sign that Yeon will get, which is why she calls Chuja into the matter. She gives her a rundown on how things have been for the past 2 years and gets a beatdown for keeping such a serious secret. Chuja demands to know why Yeon used the wife excuse, so Yeon tells her that she needed to give the guy an excuse. After all, he attacked her the moment he woke up. Even upon that excuse, Chuja does not approve. According to her, the moment Yeon said she had a romantic relationship with Chae-woo, she got entangled with him. Yeon is not cool with that truth, shunning her for giving their victim-perpetrator relationship another name. An annoyed Chuja announces her lack of interest in the matter, and that's okay with her. She just wants to be treated like a married woman. To Chuja, Yeon is ruining her life with her own hands, and she wants to know where the guy is now. Apparently, he went for physical therapy at the hospital and would be back soon. Well, soon comes sooner than they expected, and Chae-woo's voice is heard in the distance, calling out to Yeon. The voice comes from behind Chuja, who turns around to see who the man of the hour is. The room goes silent because of his glare, and Yeon whispers to her, asking her to be careful. She fears for her boss, but then Chuja announces that her son-in-law has arrived, willingly dragging herself into this mess to Yeon's surprise. This is Chae-woo's first time in this room, so he has a look around the place, allowing him to discover that Yeon is a tree doctor. He has never heard about a tree doctor and gets curious about what he did for a living before the accident. Her swift thinking helps her translate ending lives to him planting flowers at the hospital. Through her lie, Chuja can see how Yeon was able to sweet-talk Chae-woo into believing her. At the moment, she wonders if Chae-woo really did all the things she was told he did, judging him by how angelic his face looks. He cuts her thinking short, however, by calling her mother-in-law, taking the ladies by surprise. He doesn't notice their shock and tells them that he wants to sit with Yeon. He is waiting for a response, staring at our girl innocently, but she mistranslates the look and rushes to his side due to fear. Chuja, on the other hand, sees that what she fears has already begun. From experience, she knows that relationships don't start and end the way we want them to, especially with a guy like this. Yeon doesn't know this. And at the moment, she is focused on trying to save Chuja some stress by explaining to Chae-woo that she isn't actually his mother-in-law. She explains that she is just a hospital staff, and because they've known each other for long, she calls him son-in-law. Hearing this makes Chae-woo conclude that Chuja is important to Yeon, so he has to make a good impression and apologizes to her. Since he was told that he was a kind and well-mannered guy, he asks Chuja and she confirms Yeon's words. He assures her that he will try his best to be the husband Yeon remembers, but is certain it won't take him too long. Why? Because the doctor told him that in no time his instincts would lead him back to the man he was. If that happens, Yeon will be at a disadvantage, which is why she tells Chae-woo that he doesn't need to rush. She states that if he rushes, he might hurt himself and tells him to take it easy. While doing this, she addresses him formally, which is why he asks her to address him casually. Again, he tells her that the only thing he has in his mind is her face. Nothing else. As he says this, he observes Yeon's face some more, declaring that if he also forgets her face, it'll make him a bad husband. This moment of closeness causes Yeon's heart to pound. Although the look on her face means she is enjoying the moment, she tells herself that she is reacting this way because she is afraid of him and nothing more. Chuja watches the pair, thinking about how what's happening is not normal, but the first thing she has to do is find out who Chae-woo is. By nighttime, Yeon collapses on her bed, exhausted. She had spent the whole day trying to get Chae-woo off her tail, which tired her out. She now knows that if he keeps waking up healthy every day, this is how her life will be, and thinking about that makes her cry. Yeon plans on getting through this night in one piece and recalls the doctor instructing her to stay with Chae-woo, everything, so they observe things better. The more she thinks about that instruction, the more she wonders why she should listen to it. She only agreed to keep an eye on him until they found the real culprit. Suddenly, Chae-woo is at Yeon's door, begging her to tell him that all this is not a dream, and he is not losing his mind. He begs her for any proof to show that he once existed, and she just stands there, on the other side of the door. The last time Chae-woo went out, he broke through all the doors in the house like they were nothing. Yet here he was, unable to break her room's door. All this is because she lied to him that he was kind, polite, and gentle. Those lies are now holding him back. She should feel happy about this, but instead she feels something else. Nevertheless, she tells him that she just got out of the shower, so it's not a good time for them to go down memory lane. He agrees with her, announcing his intention to head upstairs and take a shower as well. With this, she knows she has been able to control Chae-woo, who asks her to take care of herself before he leaves. Yeon wonders why Chae-woo sounds like he is going somewhere far away, but doesn't pay much attention to it. After a long day of being bothered by Chae-woo, she went to bed, only to suffer nightmares of him all night. By afternoon, some days later, she goes to check on him and discovers he is fast asleep. He looks so cute while he is asleep that Chuja can't help but admire him. Yeon, seeing that her carelessness might end up waking Chae-woo, warns her to be careful. Chuja doesn't pay attention to the warning, however. Instead, she demands that Yeon tell her the truth about how she met Sleeping Beauty over here. She accuses Yeon of peeking when Chae-woo was showering and he caught her, leading to this whole mess. But she denies it. The accusation causes Yeon to feel embarrassed, so she declares they have done enough talking and need to head downstairs before Chae-woo wakes up. On the contrary, Chuja believes Yeon's loudness is what will wake him up and feels bad because she wants to sneak one last look at his pretty face. Chae-woo had been asleep for a week since that night, and Yeon's nerves have calmed down because of that. Now she is discussing having lunch with Chuja, recalling that before he left that night, he told her to take care of herself. She can't tell if he knew he was going to be asleep for this long, but before she can think on the matter some more, Chuja calls out to her. It finally looks like she has gotten her peaceful life back. But danger is always lurking in the corner. Maybe that danger might come sooner than later, since Yeon has a nightmare that has her screaming back to consciousness. This nightmare feels like no other, and has Chuja rushing into Yeon's room to find out what's wrong. She tells her that it was just a bad dream and apologizes for being late for work. Chuja is cool with this, however, claiming that there is no need for her to apologize since there was next to nothing for them to do, so she let her rest. On days that didn't have that much work, Chuja feels it's best to relax, but Yeon doesn't share that belief. She feels it's on days like this that she must work even harder. She decides by starting to check one of the trees they are caring for and struggles to get out of bed to do so. She complains that she is worried about the tree and believes someone must be harming it again. Chuja doesn't think this is a good idea and tries to talk Yeon out of it, but she does not listen. Instead, she leaves to get ready. She is frustrated by our girl's behavior, but lets it slide. It's no surprise that she can't see that something is up with Yeon, who is trying to tell herself that today will be a normal day. A few hours later, she is ready and heads to the city to check on the tree. After she's done with that, she goes to have a word with the shop owner she feels is harming the tree. But he isn't ready for this today. He immediately tells her to leave, but she doesn't listen. accusing the man of knowing a variety of ways to kill trees. She lists out the man's previous methods, and the growing commotion catches his customer's attention. Seeing this, the man tries to calm Yeon down, telling her that suing him for this is going too far. To prevent his customers from eavesdropping further, he decides to take their discussion outside. Once outside, he asks Yeon why she is so interested in what he does to a tree outside his store. He reveals to her that everyone knows she ratted out the principal of the elementary school, and her hospital will crumble if she keeps pulling stunts like this. Yeon gets emotional and claims she knows this might shut down her hospital, but she can't stop because no one else will defend the trees. Apparently, the shop owner wants to get rid of the tree because it's blocking his restaurant's sign. She feels he is doing this because he sees the tree as a non-living thing, but it's alive. Sure, humans get to decide who gets to live and who gets to die, but trees don't have that privilege. They are only focused on surviving with their roots. Somehow trees remind Yeon of herself when she was young. Maybe that's why she is about to break down when she asks the man what gives him the right to kill the tree. The day passes, and when night arrives, Yeon is seated thinking deeply. Her day was loud, the loudest she has had in a while. Maybe that's why she is so down. Or maybe it's because she hasn't been getting enough sleep. It had been a long, peaceful week as she wanted, and nothing happened as she hoped. Added to that, Chae-woo didn't wake up. She should be happy. But now, after experiencing some commotion, she realizes how silent the peaceful nights are. Recently, she hasn't even had time for idle thinking, wondering if she is going through some kind of dopamine addiction when she hears a loud sound. It's coming from the second floor, so she goes to check it out. When she gets there, she realizes that Chae-woo is still fast asleep, but then notices he's crying. Seeing him cry startles her, and an array of thoughts flood her mind. Finally, she concludes that Chae-woo is having a nightmare, which she feels is karma for him living such a bad life. At least she thinks that way until he starts begging that someone hide him. It's now that all Chuja's claims that Chae-woo is handsome flood Yeon's mind. She sits there, staring at him, seeing him as a deer being chased by a hunter. Out of compassion, she can't help but feel bad for him and tells him not to cry, wiping his tears. Even though he is asleep, Yeon tells him about how crying never helps. Back in the day, she used to cry, but no one listened. All she had were the flowers. Today, she tasted the soil from the tree at the restaurant, and it tasted salty, which it shouldn't be. Right now, to her, he looks a lot like that tree. She has a bad feeling about this, suspecting that these bad dreams are why Chae-woo woke up a week ago and the reason why he hasn't woken up now. This is a bad idea. Yeon knows that, but she still hops into bed with him. Finally, before dozing off, Yeon tells Chae-woo that today is her birthday, and the day she wanted to cry as well. They look like a cute couple, helping each other get through harsh times. As expected, the next day, Chae-woo wakes up. Looks like the doctor's hunch was right after all. Upon waking up, at first, Chae-woo feels sluggish, but then he feels something by his side and gets scared. He only calms down after discovering it's Yeon, who is still fast asleep and decides to observe her. To him, she is a doctor, his wife, and the only face he can remember, and he can tell at first glance why she is his wife and has to be his wife. Memories of his time with Yeon recently run through his mind as he thinks about how he couldn't spare a moment to take his eyes off her. Yet he doesn't understand why she keeps looking at him the way she does. Why she smiles like it's awkward, and why her ring finger has no marks is awkward to him. But there's also the issue of no wedding pictures in their home or the door that never opened. So many questions, but the most important to him is whether or not Yeon loved him enough to wait 2 years for him. It's all very peaceful, until Yeon wakes up and he greets her. Normally, she'd yell at the top of her voice and hurry out of bed, but this time she reacted less harshly. Still, Chae-woo can see something is up. He lets it slide, nonetheless, announcing that his body feels stiff and wants to know how long he has been asleep. When Yeon tells him that yesterday was his 8th day of slumber, he admits that now he understands that she has control of his mornings. From afar, they really look like a regular couple. But deep down, Yeon doesn't like how this is going, and Chae-woo suspects that she is his wife who is trying to run from him. Even if that turns out to be the case, he doesn't care, because he has no intention of letting her go. He plans on making do with the morning time and leaving the night to yawn, and also wants to start moving rooms. All this because he's not crazy enough to let go of the only memory he has. In the end, this resolve will affect Yeon's normal life. Speaking of normal life, late into the morning, Yeon is discussing with Chuja about the hospital and some other important issues, like the meeting they are to go to, when she spots Chae-woo lurking around. He senses something is wrong with Yeon and asks about it. Well, she is reacting this way because she feels Chae-woo is committing identity laundering. On him is the haircut Chuja gave him and the clothes she got for him, when she would rather have him in hospital clothes all the time. All this time she tried to keep him locked inside, but things had to end this way. Since Chuja got involved, now he wants to tag along for the meeting. Yeon doesn't want him to come because she isn't confident enough to lie to many people. Then there's the possibility of Chae-woo's memories coming back, which is why she has to stop all this somehow. Yeon's idea of stopping this is to try to get Chae-woo back inside to rest, but he asks her if she is sending him inside out of worry that he will make a mistake. Which is true, but she claims that's not it. She knows he is unto her now and has to come up with an excuse to get him back inside. The only thing she can come up with now is that outside is dangerous, especially for Chae-woo. He gets curious, wanting to know why it's dangerous, when she tells him that it's more dangerous for him because he is handsome. She goes all Super Saiyan, yelling at the top of her voice how the place they are going is filled with old men who will be jealous of Chae-woo if they see him. When she is done, the place is quiet, making her wonder if she overdid it. Luckily for her, her plan worked and he believes he is so pretty that Yeon wants to hide him. It's not what she was trying to say, but she rides on this anyway and tells him she just wants him to stay at home. He believes she wants this so that she will be the only one seeing him, which is also not true. But Yeon lets him believe it is. She states that they are still newlyweds, although the accident put them on pause, so she wants to be the only one seeing him for now. If that's the case, he also doesn't want Yeon to go outside. That's almost impossible. But then he promises her that even if they are outside, he will do what she says. All his smooth talking gets to Yeon, who is taken aback by his way with words. Once they are done debating, Chuja, who has been silent all along, calls out to them, informing them that now that's settled, they should get going. It's their first outing with Chae-woo and they are going to some meeting. The meeting takes place at Grand Haight and is about the Wydome project bid. In attendance are a lot of men who do not like Yeon. As she walks by with Chuja, they gossip about her, talking about how she is a young person but is unapproachable and gives off a widow vibe. The men may not like her, but they don't seem to have a problem with Chuja, who they feel grows more beautiful as she ages. Yeon can feel they are talking about her, because in an industry filled with men in their 60s and 50s, a tree hospital run by two women is bound to attract attention. It is at a time like this, with tensions rising, that Chae-woo feels it's best to hold Yeon's hand. He then politely asks her if she wants him to take the eyes or mouths of the people gossiping about her. All she has to do is point, but just thinking about this makes Yeon envision the newsworthy massacre that will take place afterwards. To prevent that, she assures Chae-woo that she wants neither, and he shouldn't joke about something so terrifying. The stern look on Yeon's face as she scolds him puzzles him, making him wonder if he wasn't being nice just now. He wants to know if he really shouldn't retaliate, and she can see the blind faith and ignorance in his eyes. For some reason, he no longer seems scary, allowing Yeon to stand her ground and remind him that he clearly promised her he would only do what she allows and hold his hand. In the end, that's all it takes to convince Chae-woo to agree and calm down. Suddenly, Yeon notices that the room has gone quiet and wonders why. When she looks around, she can see that all eyes are on her and Chae-woo, but then the announcement that the meeting is about to begin and order that all affected parties should come to the conference hall saves the day. Yeon has to go and Chuja and Chae-woo wish her good luck as they wave. However, on her way to the conference room, she notices that her hands are warm and wonders if she absorbed Chae-woo's body heat. Not too long after this, the meeting starts and the presentation is underway. From the look of it, the project holds promise and even leaves Yeon awestruck. It's all peaceful until the announcement that this project will make the best botanical garden in Korea, and the tree hospital that wins the bid will get premium clients. A furious man stands up, demanding to know if they are deciding on a botanical garden bid at a general auction. One of the hosts agrees, stating that they want to entrust things to the most outstanding tree doctor, as this project will feature a lot of rare, valuable plants. They cannot waste such an opportunity on someone who will come then and misuse the funds, and Yeon silently agrees. The host announces that tree doctors will compete for this bid, and the process to compete will be featured in promotional videos later on. After stating all the entry necessities, he announces that the selected hospital will get a 10-year contract with them, an offer that gets the room buzzing, but makes Yeon feel bad, because she isn't planning on participating. After the meeting, she tells this to the gang, and Chuja wants to know why she will turn down such a great opportunity. She is mostly worried that they will film her, making Chae-woo want to know why that's a problem. In her opinion, she would rather just live a peaceful life than to end up on TV and things get messy. They aren't done debating when a familiar person calls Yeon. This person is Gyeon Cheon, and according to him, they haven't seen each other in a long time, even though they live in the same area. Under his smile, he sounds offended that she didn't even glance at him during the meeting, and it's obvious Yeon doesn't like him. This man is a director of CO Tree Hospital, Yeon's former boss. She acts all cool until his disciple comes to greet her. The guy's name is Hwang Jo-yun, and she never thought she would see his face again. Gyeon believes that Yeon and this guy got along well and suggests they try getting along again. Yet there's a reason why Yeon didn't think she'd see him again and can't understand why Gyeon would say such a thing with a smile. A few years after Yeon graduated, she interned at this man's tree hospital. She was the lowest in the hierarchy there and didn't like the working environment. Still, she endured it all because she had to complete the internship so she could start her own hospital. Everything was easy to overlook, except the fact that this guy in glasses, Jo-yun, kept stalking her. He kept watching and trying to control her, pushing her to complain to Gyeon Cheon, and he dismissed her, but dares to act like this today. It looks like Chuja doesn't know this story, which is why she leaves with that horrible man, to allow Yeon and Jo-yun to catch up. When the creep tries to touch her, reflex action causes her to run into Chae-woo's arms. Out of concern, Chae-woo asks her if she is feeling uneasy, and wants to know if Jo-yun is someone he knows. She can see he is worried if that guy is a friend he has forgotten due to memory loss. Yeon assures him that he doesn't know that guy, as he was her senior back when she was an intern. During their discussion, Jo-yun is just there watching in disbelief, demanding to know who Chae-woo is. Cheekily, Chae-woo smiles and asks Yeon to introduce him. With both men asking the same thing, Yeon starts panicking, but finally introduces Chae-woo as the man she lives with. Looks like this creep hasn't let go of his list for Yeon, since he looks so shocked and asks Yeon if she is married. She is in quite the pickle now, sweating profusely because her attempt to make things look vague has now backfired on her. Nevertheless, during all this panicking, she has failed to answer Jo-yun's question. Chae-woo, who wants her to answer it, tells her to just nod a yes. But since she doesn't, he does the affirmation himself, by introducing himself as Yeon's husband. You'd think that would calm Jo-yun down, but it doesn't. Instead, he starts going on about how Yeon is not the type of person who would get married. He knew her as someone who hated getting involved with people, a woman who spent her days looking at trees and her nights making fertilizer. The way he sees it, no one else will put up with that except him. His desperate words make Yeon realize that he hasn't changed. He is still the man who defined his own terms, who got worked up whenever she stepped outside his box. What a creep, and this attitude is what Yeon hates the most about him. He pisses her off, so she decides to set him straight, announcing how okay she has been all the years since she left that hospital. She adds that she is married, has her own hospital, and is no longer someone he can look down on, but Jo-yun refuses to believe Yeon is married to Chae-woo. Out of annoyance, he demands she show him a family registration certificate so he can believe her. Yeon is about to respond to this claim when Chae-woo breaks things up by warning Jo-yun that he will kill him if he doesn't shut up. She can now see that it was too soon to bring him out. It looks like Chae-woo's old self is kicking in as he makes a move toward Jo-yun. but Yeon stops him and excuses her and Chaewoo. Before he can say anything more, Yeon has bolted. When they get outside, she catches her breath, thinking about how they just escaped a shot at making the news. When Chaewoo asks if she is okay, she claims she is, and throws a question of her own, requesting to know why he said he'd killed Jo-yeon. With his answer, she will be able to tell whether she should minimize his contact with people or not, but he just apologizes. Yeon tells him that she is not looking for an apology, but is just surprised since she has never seen him behave that way. He explains that the more Jo-yoon kept calling her name, the more he got angry but held back, even though he wanted to take off his mouth. Yeah, this is all Yeon needs to know. She needs to keep Chaewoo away from society. Well, at least until he informs her that he could see she was holding back tears. Yeon now understands that she is the one who determines Chaewoo's mood. In other words, her emotions transfer to him, and that's all that's on her mind during the drive home. She now knows that if she acts unsettled around him, he might snap and go wild, so he has to stay composed when she is around him. As they say, the person holding a beast's leash needs the courage to handle it. At home, Yeon tells everyone she wants to enter the competition. She is doing it for the trees, and also because she wants to see her former workplace fall. While she gives her fired-up speech, Chaewoo serves them tea, and Chuja wants to know why Yeon has changed her mind when she was worried about getting filmed. Yeon still wants to give this a shot, believing she will be eliminated before filming starts. Chuja supports the idea, but even though Yeon doesn't like standing before cameras, her grudge is real, and this is a step at her getting stronger. By the time Yeon and Chuja finish discussing, it's already late, so they see her off. Now it's just her and Chaewoo who apologizes to her. He is apologizing because he isn't good with tree hospital matters, but she assures him it's cool, informing him that he was always like that. Her own words cause her to remember something, so she decides to ask Chaewoo a question, something she starts regretting immediately. She still goes on to ask what she has in mind, which is that from now on he looks at happy and beautiful things. The atmosphere starts getting warm, and Chaewoo admits that doing this will not be difficult. They end up staring into each other's eyes. But then Yeon notices the creepy atmosphere and announces that she is sleepy and will shower before going to bed. She thinks she is out of the river, until Chaewoo wants to know if he should bathe her, putting her brain on pause for a second. When she recovers, she yells out a cry of surprise, which Chaewoo doesn't understand, since this is something couples do. Nevertheless, Yeon goes full moralist mode and blames her reaction on the fact that she is very conservative. She was taught that boys and girls shouldn't sit together after the age of 7. She grew up with a completely wrong understanding of society and never really corrected it. When he asks if this rule also applies to him, she declares that it does, explaining that marriage isn't just some kind of all-access free pass. If it's not that, Chaewoo wants to know what it is, but she didn't think of a response that far. She just goes silent, allowing him to speak his mind. He wants her to teach him, since because of her lies and his amnesia, he feels like he is not the husband he once was. He believes that if he doesn't take care of her, he is losing his sense of purpose as a husband. Added to this, he's certain he isn't that important to her. If not, she wouldn't have left him to sleep for an entire week. It's unfortunate for her that all he is saying is true, but she can't understand why his intelligence only spikes at times like this. Normally, he'd act like a puppy, but when it comes to her and taking care of her, he's like prime Albert Einstein. Yeon feels like the storm she has caused will sweep her away soon, but for now, she has to keep things cool. This topic also makes her feel shy, which is why she sheepishly replies that him bathing her is wrong. Still, he doesn't feel that way. To him, they had done worse things together as a couple. Once more, he makes her feel uncomfortable with how raw he always is. He doesn't even notice her shocked reaction and adds that the reason why they weren't having proper intimate moments was because they have the habit of being too righteous around each other. He permits her to be a little ruder to him, to help them ease up, but she still can't argue with him. He has successfully used her own lie to persuade her, leaving her with no option but to agree. That's because she knows he is not going to back off so easily this time. She understands people like him, and knows that to prevent him from demanding more, she has to permit him to wash her back instead of bath her. She doesn't see how that'll come back to bite her and gets to the shower where she gets ready for his help. Apart from taking her clothes off, she mentally prepares herself for this, telling herself that she doesn't mind this sacrifice and she can handle it. Nevertheless, the second Chae-woo walks in, she can see she has made the wrong choice, as she has no clothes on. Now, her heart is beating so fast it wants to explode, but still, she lets him help her out. Fortunately for Yeon, that's all happening in his head. In reality, she is waiting for him to begin, ordering him to get the scrub towel he's to use and help her with her back. He plans on getting it when he notices a scar on her back. Curious, he feels the scar wanting to know how she got it, reminding her of an incident that took place a long time ago. She rarely gets to see her back, which is why she forgot about that mark and assures him it's nothing, even though it looks like it's bothering her. Chae-woo can sense the scar has a story behind it and pushes for an explanation, yet she refuses to speak up. From her reaction, he concludes that she doesn't want to talk about the scar. He feels that way until she shocks him by revealing to him that it was her family that gave her that mark. Hearing this annoys him, forcing him to call her family trash, when she, on the other hand, believes there's a reason for what they did. It's ironic that Chae-woo, of all people, argues that there is no justifiable reason for hitting someone based on the life he once led. His view makes her smile weakly before she adds that stuff like this can happen when you love someone too much. Right now, she isn't talking about him, but his loss of memory makes him feel like it's him she is talking about. He recalls the animalistic behavior that came the first time he woke up to see her, then her fainting reactions, and finally, her negative view of them getting intimate. He fears that the real Chae-woo was a monster to her, and he isn't far from the truth. Unaware of what's going on in his mind, Yeon continues, adding that love turns to anger in an instant. This is because people are not trees, so they can't give endlessly without expecting anything in return. That's why it's human to get angry when trees don't bear fruit. Away from all the sad talk, she reminds Chae-woo to get the scrub towel, since his bare hands aren't making her bath refreshing. In his defense, he can't use the towel because the scar looks like it hurts. He also believes that if he handles her back the wrong way, it'll turn red. Still, she doesn't mind and wants to take a bath. A stubborn Chae-woo then suggests they make their day about something other than bathing. Hearing this frightens her, because she doesn't understand what he is talking about until he asks that they play around for a bit. He wants to casually play with her, but she doesn't understand what he means. He decides to explain by helping her with her back, while her thoughts drift back to when he asked about the scar. That was the first time she had been asked that question. People normally accepted the scars on her body as a given. When she was younger, roaming the streets with no home, people always had one bad thing or the other to say about her. They assumed she was abandoned and she deserved it, only for fate to bring them together last time. She can tell he cared about her, starting from the day he noticed she was holding back tears. She didn't see anything serious about her crying, and his comment about how there was no reason to hit someone only made her wonder if her scars were a big deal. Out of frustration, Yeon splashes water on her face, prompting Chae-woo to hurry and help her rinse off the soap. After the bath, the makeshift couple head upstairs to have their rest. She is feeling so relaxed that she wants to fall asleep as she is. Meanwhile, he wants to know if she is already sleepy. Sure, she was, and after letting him take care of her back, sharing a bed with him no longer felt like a big deal. She bids him goodnight and he responds accordingly, but before she falls asleep, she wonders if the rest of her days will be like this. An entire morning of taking him out, followed by nights with them sharing a room. She concludes that Chae-woo is difficult, but is glad he isn't as bad as she thought. Finally, about to get some shut-eye, when she remembers something that forces her to sit up immediately. She's reacting this way because she fears she has gotten comfortable with the man who nearly ended her. Yeon accuses herself of being insane, staring back at him as she reminds herself that Chae-woo is not only dangerous, but also terrifying. On the other hand, the poor guy doesn't understand what is going on, believing she is reacting this way because her scar began to hurt again. As their eyes lock, she goes calm again, right before her conscience pushes her to focus on how she saw him previously. She tells herself she doesn't have to be soft around him, hitting herself continuously to ensure she doesn't forget that. For a few seconds, he watches, letting her do as she pleases. But soon he can't take it anymore and stops her from hitting herself. Now that he has her attention, he wants to know what changed her mood suddenly, specifically if he did something to make her feel uncomfortable. Silently, she tells herself that his eyes and voice are the problem. She wishes she had never seen or heard anything the night fate brought them together and looks away from him rudely. He is upset because of her response, but keeps his cool, calmly pleading with her to look at him. To him, this method is working, but then she releases herself from his hold. Eventually, it looks like he gets tired of begging her to look at him or talk to him, so he asks if she is brave because she hasn't made anyone uncomfortable before. After the assertion, he bites her, leaving her to ask him to stop. For some reason, he doesn't listen and keeps going until she asks him if this is payback, because his memories have returned. Hearing that question lets him know he has made a terrible mistake, but she doesn't stop there. She asks him the question again, causing him to feel guilty without even knowing what she has done, as they stare at each other in complete silence. He can see Yeon is filled with fear, like she is staring at a monster, while she is certain the real Chae-woo is back. She is expecting the worst, but then he finally speaks up, claiming he has not regained his memories. He explains that his behavior some seconds back is because he lost his mind and made a mistake. He accepts that it's his fault, apologizes to her, and declares that he will punish himself by sleeping in another room tonight. He also plans on skipping breakfast or even staying asleep for a month or two, just to make her feel better. Isn't this good for her? So why is she calling out to him as he leaves? You can never understand this girl. She ends up getting out of bed to chase after him, determined to stop him when he has already made up his mind. Nevertheless, he stops her, warning her that it's best she stay where she is, since if he catches a whiff of her, their sleeping in separate rooms won't matter. There's pain in his tone and welled-up tears in his eyes as he makes this request, and she can see that he is determined, so she advises him to sleep on the second floor and not here, especially because he plans on sleeping for a while. Before she can say anything else, he slams the room door, leaving her to wonder how she is supposed to live this way. In the end, that's how Chae-woo drifted away into sleep for the third time. Days after, a young boy heads towards Yeon's tree hospital while reading about insects. As he reads and continues into the compound, he is unaware that he is being followed. Inside the compound, Yeon calls Chuja's attention to the first announcement of the Hwydome Project's tournament. It contains information that they will be judging contestants by how well they will trim a tree that's 30 meters tall. To add to that, they are to climb the tree without a ladder or a lift truck, which makes the ladies laugh wholeheartedly. They have never heard of such an outrageous criteria, and Chuja ends up wanting to call to complain. A tree that tall has the same height as a 10-story building, so she feels like they are trying to end lives with this competition. Yeon manages to stop her, however, explaining that they might be doing this to test how fearless the contestants are, as well as their endurance. Still, she doesn't see why they won't permit ladders or lift trucks when they aren't on some deserted island. They are too busy discussing the crazy rule that they don't notice the little boy eavesdropping. He is about to enter when he notices another room and is moved to check it out. To his surprise, he finds Chae-woo fast asleep. He had never seen him before and rushes to check him out, observing how big he is. He's still observing him when Yeon rushes in, calling the boy Gyubek, as she asks when he arrived. She feels she should have called for her when he arrived and leads him out of the room, claiming it was dangerous there. As they leave, Gyubek educates her on Chae-woo and concludes that he is a strong male, fit for hunting and rare. The kid is an unofficial insect expert for their tree hospital, and he is certain he knows his stuff when he claims Chae-woo is dangerous, even though Yeon argues that he isn't rare or dangerous. To him, all strong males are dangerous, and he isn't far from the truth. He's just a kid who didn't get proper care at home, and that made him into the child he is. To help the boy's straightforward reasoning, she tried to explain that although humans are mammals, they are not like other animals in the animal kingdom. However, her little speech is cut off when she spots Jo-yoon at the window and demands to know what he is doing there. According to him, he saw the kid walk into the compound, so he followed. Unlike Chae-woo, Gyubike identifies Jo-yoon as an unpleasant male that is ruined. His comment offends Jo-yoon, but no one cares. In fact, Yeon wants the boy to wait for her while she handles that man. Firstly, she wants to know what he is doing at her place and threatens to call the cops. He ignores her threats and asks if the boy is her child. She knows exactly what he wants to hear, but decides to lead him to believe that Gyubike might be her son. The thought terrifies him, pushing him to believe that she disappeared those years back, to hide the fact that she was pregnant. Even when she tells him she didn't disappear, but was actually fired because of him, he keeps overreacting because he truly believes the boy is her son. He feels like a failure because he saw her as someone who was always so strict years back, wondering how he let down his guard and she had a child without him knowing. Heartbroken, he demands to know how she could betray him like this and orders that they go to a family registry immediately. He claims that he will believe she is married after he sees a family registry certificate. But that's not her problem, as she calls the cops to report a stalker breaking into her home. She urges them to come quickly, since the stalker is either drunk or just rambling nonsense and causing a scene. Seeing that she is calling him a stalker only makes him grow louder. According to him, he is not a criminal here, and she is the one escalating things by refusing to show him the certificate. He also complains about her attitude right now, but she remains unmoved. She's a different woman now, and she knows Jo-yoon is here, not because he is devoted to her. She knows he probably hit on a lot of other women when she got fired. She is sure he is here because he still feels she is weak, like she was before. He keeps spouting rubbish while she remains uninterested. After all she has experienced in the past 2 years, from the day she met Chae-woo to her experience with his brother and some other incidents, why will she be afraid of this man? When she gets tired of listening to him, she threatens to throw dirt on him as she warns him to stay out of her personal life. To make sure he listens, she claims she has a very scary husband now, as in Chae-woo, reminding him of their first encounter with each other and adds that he bites and likes to bury stuff. She warns that if he keeps this up, he will get harmed, so he should stop being so noticeable. After that warning, she returns to her home, leaving him out there, lost in thought. He doesn't recognize this version of Yeon, remembering her as someone who easily withdrew into herself and was easy to subdue. He wonders if she became bold because he wasn't by her side for a while, or because he stopped watching her. Whatever it is, he knows he made a mistake, and when she shuts the curtains on him, he promises himself that he will guide her back properly. Now, not only does she have to bear living with Chae-woo, but she also has her old stalker back on her case. How unfortunate. This time, Jo-yoon is not playing, taking stalking to the next level until Yeon has to go to the cops. They don't seem to believe her claims, but she is certain he is on her case again. Why? Maybe it's because she saw him 3 times that day, but the cops believe that could be a coincidence. Then there's the roses at her door every morning, but they can't pin that on him. That's because he is at work at that time. Honestly, they have nothing on him, so they can't arrest him, but she can't have that. She wants to know if there is anything they can do to get him off her, as she is certain he is watching her. She informs them that he stalked her before, but when the officer hears this, he suspects it's all in her head. He considers this possibility because 2 years ago he knows she falsely reported witnessing a murder. Yeah, the one that involved Chae-woo, the one she had to cover up. Still, hearing this doesn't move Yeon. What moves her is when she hears that there is no record of Jo-yoon stalking her. This news hits her so hard that a few minutes later she is in her room watching Chae-woo. She looks drained, like she is out of options and wants to wake him up, when Chuja steps in warning her that if she wants to wake him up, she should be ready for the burden that comes with waking him up. She warns her that if she wakes him up, she must be ready to give something up. She can't just keep treating him like a murderer and push him away completely. Chuja knows she wants his help, but advises that for her to get it, she must treat him like a new man. Right now, he is just an empty shell. The old him is gone and no one knows who he is anymore. If she can't make peace with this, the older lady suggests she refrain from waking him up. How can she make peace with this? She had already told herself that a murderer was a murderer and pushed him away. She did that to prevent herself from feeling the guilt of deceiving a lost man. As she makes fertilizer, she scolds herself for shamelessly needing him after she has pushed him away. Even she is shocked at how selfish she is being. She knows that if he wakes up, he can put an end to her stalker problem, but isn't sure she can trust a murderer. In the end, she doesn't have to trust that murderous side, but feels she can trust the new part of him that is devoted to her. By the time she's done with the fertilizer, it's already midnight. Apart from the fertilizer, she has also arranged her thoughts, knowing fully well what she has to do, when she spots someone at her window looking in. It's Jo-yoon, and in a creepy tone, he tells her she doesn't have a husband. Just as he makes that declaration, Chae-woo wakes up with tears in his eyes. By his side is Yeon, fast asleep, meaning all that happened earlier was just a bad dream. Not too long after he wakes up, she also wakes up and he asks how she has been. This is exactly what she wanted, to wake him up. Now she is staring at a man who was frozen a few hours ago, moving before her eyes. Since he is awake, he wants to know if he is finally free, wondering why she didn't scold him some more. Yet she remains silent, observing his face as she asks herself what is making him so happy. It's obvious that he has been crying a lot, but he undermines himself and points out that she looks thinner. Like him, she also thinks less about herself now and more about him. He had been asleep for 8 days, and every night he was trapped in nightmares. She didn't understand what kind of dreams made a man like him cry. Even so, she left him wandering in those nightmares. That's a really dark thing to do, adding to the reason why she gets up and starts sobbing. Seeing Yeon cry adds to Chae-woo's concern, and he wants to know what's wrong. It's then she breaks down completely, pouring out every detail of the stalker incident, including the steps she took to try and catch Jo-yoon. What hurts her the most is that he eluded those steps she took. It's a lot to process on the spot, so he urged her to calm down and explain to him who has been bothering her. The passionate look in his eyes leaves her awestruck, allowing her to tell him everything, in a much calmer tone. After hearing all she has said, Chae-woo concludes that Yeon has been going through a lot and woke him up so he can handle things for her. His words make her feel like he thinks she is shameless, but he doesn't. In fact, he wraps her in a warm embrace and confesses that she did the right thing. The first word of encouragement she is getting concerning this stalker incident. She recalls that the cops didn't believe her, but here he is comforting her. Even after the officer said there was nothing he could do, Chae-woo wants her to leave everything to him. With the look in his ember-glowing eyes, it's obvious Jo-yoon has bit off more than he can chew. Chae-woo wants to go hunt him down immediately and wants Yeon to rest, but she stops him. This shows how much he doesn't care about the culprit. He calls him a bug. Since she stopped him, he commends her for being too kind, even to bugs, but adds that he needs to catch it first before he can do anything. She then tells him she has already caught the bug, surprising him to the core. They both go to see how good a job she has done, and he is impressed that she tied him really well. She knew knotting skills would come in handy one day, so she learned it. Today it came in handy, but he wants to know how she caught him. She used pepper spray. Since she had heard it works well on pests, she got one in advance. She used it to blind him before giving him what she calls a little tap with a shovel. Jo-yoon, who felt the tap, knew it wasn't a tap, but that didn't matter to Chae-woo. All he knows is that he is impressed. According to Yeon, she snapped after a while of this filthy man crawling into her home, but he once again commends her for tying the rope so meticulously. He can see that she is skilled, nevertheless. As they discuss so casually, their prey panics even more. He doesn't understand how they are so relaxed after tying him up like this, and concludes that they are crazy. It's clear to him that none of them is ordinary. Things are about to get ugly for him. The second Chae-woo offers to handle things from her and advises Yeon to get some rest. Before he goes, she explains to him that she is not leaving this to him, for him to be angry on her behalf, but because Jo-yoon is doubting their marriage and she wants to prove he is her husband. She never wants to see him again, but doesn't want him getting murdered. Chae-woo smiles at the charge, assuring her that he doesn't plan on ending their captive. His response is so reasonable that she feels Chuja was right about him. He's empty, and everything he will become from now on is dependent on what she'll fill him with. Well, She feels that way until he adds that he can't kill Jo-yeon because this is no ideal place for that. Hearing this reawakens all her nightmares, making her sure she cannot trust him. She's panicking now and wants him to promise her he won't do any killing, and he does, claiming he'll just teach him a lesson for her. He assures her she can go inside, but as she leaves in a muffled tone, Jo-yeon begs her not to leave him with Chae-woo. His begging is pointless in the end, and she leaves, allowing him to realize the amount of trouble he is in. All he can do now is access his situation, from the emotionless eyes of his captor to how deadly he looks. He knows he is before a dangerous man. To show how serious he is, Chae-woo leans in, calling him by his name when he asks him where his hideout is. Seeing as he can't respond, he tries to squeeze the answer out of him, until he remembers his lips are sealed. He then decides to guess where his hideout is since he can't respond, and drags him away. As he's being manhandled, Jo-yeon struggles to demand his release. He knows he can't be heard, but remains persistent. To him, there is no way his hideout would be figured out until he is dragged to the exact building he uses. He's shocked, wondering how he was figured out, so Chae-woo decides to ease him of his curiosity. He explains that when he stepped out of the house for the first time, he spotted that house and immediately knew he and Yeon could be spied on from there. That realization helped him know this stalker would buy that house, and he was right. He finds this amusing and tells Jo-yeon that he should have been more careful and tried not to get caught when he was doing something so despicable. He adds that acting like a fool will get him screwed over, so it's best to act like a dog. Chae-woo's sinister smile after that declaration makes him panic. He immediately knows that if he is dragged into the compound, he is dead, and looks around to see if he can get any help. Fortunately for him, he spots someone casually walking home at midnight. He sees that person as his savior and struggles to beg for help, but his savior doesn't respond. He only stands there and watches for a bit, before retiring into his home, leaving Jo-yeon to whatever fate Chae-woo has for him. I'm his home. We get to know that the random guy on the street is no random guy or savior. He has been watching Yeon and Chae-woo for the past 2 years, and seeing him up close after all that time makes him want to burst with happiness. He's his young master after all, and seeing him take out such trash by himself confirms that he truly has lost his memory. He believes his fingers are soiled now, and he should take better care of them because they are worth a lot. He knows that even if Chae-woo becomes a fool, he will handle bugs like Jo-yeon with ease, but decides to step in to ensure everything is as neat as possible. To do that, he makes a phone call and introducing himself as Beom-hee. It's morning by the time Yeon finally wakes up refreshed. It's been a while since she slept so well, or even slept in her room. Soon she asks herself why she is even I'm her room, before realizing that the night before she made the mistake of leaving Jo-yeon with Chae-woo. Immediately, she screams at the top of her voice and rushes downstairs to meet him. At the moment, he is trimming flowers, but by the time she arrives, he's already done and ready to welcome her. He asks her about her night, making her feel like the past week when her blood was drying was a lie. She asks him what he is doing, and he replies, flower arrangement practice. He wants to get back to work as soon as possible because he wants to get back to his normal life. She acts like it's okay, but she feels bad, watching someone that knows nothing, listen to her, and act on everything she says. Last night makes her feel even more guilty, but Chae-woo disrupts her thoughts by asking if he can tie her hair. She refuses, claiming she is not in the best state right now, but he tells her she is getting him wrong. He just wants to touch her hair, and she finally agrees. As he gets to work, she recounts a time when she watched someone get her hair done, while she had no one to do the same for her. Suddenly, he interrupts her, informing her that Jo-yeon will not be bothering her anymore. He assures her she is allowed to relax now and rounds up her hair, making her look so pretty, according to him. She doesn't believe the comment, however, so he continues, adding that her face probably makes people go crazy. Hearing this literally sets her mind on fire, so he calms her down by asking if she's hungry. She is, and he already had food prepared because he suspected she'd be hungry when she woke up. With the meal ready, they sit at the dining table like a couple to have breakfast when Chae-woo asks her what her plans for the afternoon are. She tells him that she'll be handling some of the house chores she has been putting off, which he offers to help her with, She is surprised that he wants to help, but lets him help, unsure whether she is doing the right thing or not. She is also shocked that she feels comfortable doing this stuff with him when she normally does it on her own. For a second, she wonders if he used to do house chores before he lost his memory. That's because he is doing it so naturally. But then she concludes that she cannot picture him doing housework back then. She can't tell how much of him is left. Meanwhile, he is doing some thinking of his own. He can't tell if she truly cared for him when he was in a vegetative state. Even if she didn't, he is determined to feel her gentle touch and intense gaze. Suddenly, he gets curious, plucks flowers, and asks if she has sucked on a flower before. Since she claims to have tried a few times when she was younger, he wants her to show him how it's done. He wants to suck everything without leaving anything behind and hands her a flower so she can teach him quickly. She does suck it, but he doesn't think that's enough. He even tells her how to do it right and wants her to try again. Even if she can sense he is toying with her, she does as he has asked, because she can't just refuse him. Soon she realizes he is actually teasing her, especially because he finds it hard to hold back his laugh. She immediately argues that she doesn't eat this way, so he wants to know how she eats. She explains that she bites the end lightly, another thing he finds funny, before he gives it a try as well, and we know he isn't even talking about flowers anymore. He is discussing a topic that leads them into getting intimate for the first time. This is something she has been avoiding, but she finds herself unable to resist. Even when she tries to explain that they have always had a platonic relationship, he requests that she forget about the old him and focus on this new guy. She is currently experiencing a tidal wave like she has never experienced before, and if she lets her guard down, she knows she will be swept away. Luckily for her, before that wave hits, she gets a grip on herself and lies that she is a blockhead. She blames herself for messing up their previous intimate moments, and he plays along, wondering how long she plans to avoid him. To her surprise, he clothes her and tells her that she'll have to show him more loyalty from now on. He claims she has to do this to show that they are actually married and leaves to go organize the yard. Before he leaves, he advises that the next time she gets excited and jumps on him, she has to come up with a better response than she did today. When she leaves, she thanks the stars that she is alive, while thinking about what just transpired. In her life, she never thought she would experience the sensation she just experienced. She had concluded those feelings were not part of her and didn't know what to do. She'll probably think of something later on, but when evening comes, she lays in bed, pissed at the fact that she has to lay under the same blanket with Chae-woo again. She has never lied in the same bed with someone she was intimate with, and feels this is torture. Meanwhile, he stays unfazed. In the morning, he was a different person from what he is now, making her feel like she is overthinking things. Unfortunately for her, she gazes at him so much that he catches her and feels she is trying to tell him not to read. He misinterprets her staring at him as her calling him, since they are both in bed. When she finally catches on, she claims she is not asking for anything, but just stayed up so late that she couldn't sleep. Since she poked the bear, he wants her to tell him some of their old stories, particularly the story of how they met. To do that, she has to erase all her knowledge of what truly happens, but still, she fails to erase it completely. She claims they met on a mountain where she dropped her belongings and he chased after her to return it. He finds that so classic and she agrees, explaining that it was a very traditional meeting. He wants to know if she dropped her handkerchief. In real life, it was her favorite electric saw, but she claims it was a comb. That was how she claims it all started, earning her an unexplainable gaze. When she asks, he claims that gaze is because he is glad he was sent to the mountain that day. Meanwhile, by 1,000 times, she regrets going to the mountain that day. With the way things are going, she knows he will ask more questions, so she acts sleepy, with the aim of ending the question and answer session. When he turns off the light to allow them to sleep better, she notices he is crying again and asks why. Even though she couldn't sleep before, she feels worse now and accesses all the mood swings he exhibited today. Yeon can't tell what's making Chae-woo cry, but recalls classical music can help people sleep well and rushes to get a disc. She manages to find the right one for him, downloads it, and plays it for him. The music turns whatever nightmare he is experiencing into a dream about his mother teaching him how to play the cello. His peaceful dream makes the crying stop, surprising her because she felt it wouldn't work. But he's so realized in breathing calmly. She never wished Chae-woo would sleep this much or sleep well until now. She doesn't even understand what she is doing again, but surely it feels right. Days go by and the day of the first round of the Hwai-dome project evaluation arrives. It is repeated that they have to prune a tree that's 30 meters tall without the aid of a ladder or lift truck. The first contestant is the Green Hospital, a hospital that's not too large but has directors who are not to be underestimated. It's supposed to be a friendly competition, but with the way Yeon and one of the directors from the Green Hospital heatedly stare at each other, we know this is far from friendly. She knows she cannot get eliminated before facing her parent hospital, the Dongseo Tree Hospital. She is almost ready for the task, but then she realizes she doesn't have her rope. That's until she sees it with Chae-woo and asks what he is doing. He retorts that he should be asking her that question, but she replies that she is not. To him, that's not the issue here, but the level of danger she is putting herself in. She explains this is not an issue because she has her safety gear and wants her rope back, but he refuses. She keeps pleading until the Green Hospital's elderly director begins the task, and she uses him as her reference. She explains that there are certain levels of strength a tree doctor needs, and climbing is an everyday routine. She guesses he is worried because he doesn't know the job well, and keeps explaining until the older tree doctor accepts defeat. Turns out he can't climb that high because the branches are slippery. He ultimately helps in debunking her points, and Chuja steps in to convince her to withdraw. She knows withdrawing won't get them any money, but they also won't lose anything in the process and wants to forfeit before someone gets hurt. Withdrawal is instant disqualification, but that's not all. Because of the compromised nature of the branches, she knows that if she leaves it unattended, it will affect nearby trees and wants to take care of it as quickly as possible, so she demands the rope. Fine. He agrees to give her the rope only if she'll come back home with him, scolding her for being reckless when she doesn't see it as recklessness. To Yeon, her sense of responsibility comes first. This is a competition she intends to participate in, and she wants him to stop getting in her way. Their little tussle lingers until she accidentally asks him if he is talking back to her. They are both shocked by those words, but what's even more shocking is his response. How he claims he isn't talking back at her and clips it for her. He wants to know if she has thought of the husband waiting below for his wife. Apparently, he was just acting so she'd calm him down because he was scared. His words help to motivate her while Chuja adds to it, handing over her saw with a piece of advice that she should be careful. While staring at the saw, she recalls that his blood once stained it, but now he is the one worrying about her. His getting caught up in his own fantasy is one thing. She doesn't know why she is letting herself get pulled in as well and gets to climbing. Before they know it, she is almost at the top, leaving everyone in shock. They didn't notice her climb so far, but now everyone is rooting for her. They think she might actually pull this off while she is thinking about how she just realized she is scared of heights. She didn't notice because she never climbed this high, but her biggest problem was that once she recognized this, her body stopped responding properly. She's scared, but after coming this far, she intends to finish the job. She assures the tree that she will be done with it in a minute, focusing on keeping her balance until she loses it and slips. Immediately, Chuja sees this. She calls out to her, but it's too late. She's already falling. I'm falling! This is Yeon's first thought as she slips from the tree. She closes her eyes to brace herself for impact, but nothing happens. Surprised, she opens her eyes only to see someone she didn't expect to see. It's Chae-woo. He has an arm wrapped around her waist as he hangs from the tree with one arm. He asks her if she is okay while she calls his name with some shock. He places her on his lap, still worried about her. He is about to ask if she is hurt anywhere when she suddenly yells and starts scolding him. She wants to know what gives him the courage to climb up the tree without any gear. She at least has a rope around her, so even if she falls, she won't die. She asks why he is always so extreme. Chae-woo doesn't feel bad at being scolded. No, our male lead smiles because he can tell that she is angry because she cares, and is worried about him. Leaning down to rest on her shoulders, he tells her to guess the reason why he is like this. His actions make Yeon blush. Seriously, this man. She thinks. Chae-woo tells her to decide. Should he drag her down like this or go through with it till the end? Yeon finally remembers she is in the middle of a competition. She tells him she is going all the way. There is no turning back now. Chaewoo smiles, then tells her to get on his back, making her stunned. He tells her he will cut the tree while she gives him directions. Yeon instantly refuses. She is worried about him and tells him to go down quickly. He tells her it is okay. Even if he falls, she will survive. His words move our girl, making her heart pound. She hugs him tightly, warning him to never say something like that again. Glaring at him with tears in her eyes, she says if he gets seriously hurt, her life will also end too. Besides, she is the tree doctor. She is obviously better at sawing than he is. Yelling at him, she tells him not to mess around. This moment is probably the happiest for Chaewoo. He can't stop smiling as he sees her holding him tight in worry. He tells her she can punish him for messing around when they get down, but now she has to hold on tight. Yeon is still confused, but Chaewoo grabs her and pushes her onto his back. She closes her eyes and screams out in fear. He tells her to wrap her hands around his neck and tells her he is going. Yeon sillily asks where. The next moment, we see Chaewoo start hopping up the tree from branch to branch. He reaches the top and tells Yeon they have arrived. When she doesn't act, he tells her to hand him the saw and give him instructions. Yeon is completely out of her mind at this point, and all she can say is, "What?" Chaewoo states he is just an amateur like she said, so now she has to guide him. Yeon knows it will be ridiculous to deny Yeon's help after coming all the way up, so she finally agrees. At the bottom of the tree, the people watching them are in shock. One man points to the top of the tree, telling everyone they are about to start. They all wonder if it is possible to work while carrying someone on your back the whole time. They can't help but feel like these two will make it happen. At the top of the tree, Yeon is encouraging Chaewoo. She gives him directions on what he will do. She tells him to increase his strength and go harder. We don't know where Chaewoo's thoughts have gone to. Probably somewhere dirty. As his ears suddenly turn red. The words she says makes him blush so hard he even starts to sweat. Yeon is unaware of this and just keeps yelling instructions. They are almost done. Leaning closer to him, she tells him to give it one last push and screams for him to pull out. He does so, and the branch falls off. The people below are also in shock. Those two really did it. It's like a movie. Even the opposing team can't help but acknowledge their strength. Still on Chaewoo's back, Yeon starts celebrating. She laughs happily and pats his back, calling him the best. She asks him if it was rough and says he has some talent in this area. He has great strength and his skills with his hands are impressive, making her satisfied. Chaewoo, however, is thinking of something else and tells her she has great teaching talent. He even says he can't wait to see what comes next. Our innocent female lead has no idea and thinks he is genuinely praising her, making her smile happily. Finally, the troublesome branch has been removed and the pain from where it fell off will heal. Soon, new and healthy branches will start growing. And in this first tournament of the Wydome project, the winner is Yeon of the Spruce Tree Hospital. No one is more amazed than Chuja right now. The three are at a restaurant celebrating their win. Chuja keeps describing the scene of Chaewoo saving Yeon. First, he was following her like a shadow, but when she started to wobble, he jumped up and scaled that tree like a panther. At that moment, she thought he had lost his mind. Yeon is laughing while Chaewoo is focused on serving her. Chuja insists that the hero should get the first drink, which Yeon objects to. Waving her hands, she says someone still ill shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Chuja pauses for a moment, then shouts, saying, if someone like that can lift a woman from that height, then he is not sick. He is already dead. Yeon says that is not what she meant. She can't say the real reason is because she is afraid the alcohol might trigger his old self. Chuja insists on pouring him a drink, but Yeon snatches the bottle and drinks it herself. This action makes Chuja mad and she stands up, slamming the table. The loud noise makes people look in their direction. Chuja yells at Yeon, asking if Chaewoo can't drink. Yeon also yells back, saying from now on she will drink all alcohol on Chaewoo's behalf. He tries to stop Yeon, but she doesn't listen, and tells Chuja people with mental illness are still people, so she shouldn't judge people only by their physical condition. She insists on drinking all the alcohol for him. A few minutes later, Yeon is already regretting her decision. She doesn't know where she is, and it even feels like her feet are floating. She seems to be in another realm, in a floating cloud. Sigh. It feels so nice. Laughing happily, she snuggles deeper. While she is enjoying herself, Chaewoo is having a hard time trying to keep the drunk girl on his back still. She keeps swinging her legs happily, so he warns her to be careful or she will fall. The drunk Yan is confused. Feeling the body around her, it is hard, so it can't be a cloud. Chae-woo asks what dream she was having. Also, she said she can't drink, so why did she go so hard? She tells him if she didn't drink, then he would have had to. He wants to know if she really hates it that much when he drinks. Swinging her legs happily again, she says, yes. He can't help smiling, asking if she is afraid his brain cells will twist. The drunk Yan slips up and reveals the truth, telling him she is afraid his memories will come back. Chae-woo is shocked and his eyes widen in disbelief. He stops walking and asks her if she really doesn't want him to remember. Resting her head on his back, she says yes. He asks her if she was afraid of him, and she says yes. He goes on to ask if he ever hurt her physically, and she says yes again. He wants to know if it was often. She tells him even if it wasn't always him, he looked like he was used to it. Her reply makes Chae-woo resentful of his past self. He scolds the past Chae-woo and says he is a persona that should never be let loose again. He is a trash lower than animals and should have been buried forever. He is angry that his past self left all the pain for Yan to carry. Pained, he asks her why she brought him back. When he fell off that mountain, she could just have left him. She is beautiful, smart, amazing, and young. She could have lived well anywhere. So why someone like him? The drunk Yan remembers the things that happened 2 years ago and her promise to his brother. She tells Chae-woo what they have is a real promise. It is a duty not meant to be broken. That's why people are told to think carefully before signing a contract. Even if she regretted it and it was painful, if she could go back, she would still sign with him. Her words hit Chae-woo hard. He thinks she is talking about the marriage contract and is touched, feeling as if he has sunk into a pool of water. To Yeon, he's the one who climbed a 30-meter tree to help, the one who said he will never give up no matter how hopeless it was. Of course, she can't let go once she takes responsibility, even for someone like Chae-woo. Chae-woo, on the other hand, is thinking if she is planning to still be in the marriage with him, then this is his chance. A second chance to fix a wrecked marriage. Smiling, he thinks even trash like him gets a second chance. Indeed, God must be on his side. Yeon wakes up the next morning with a bad headache. It feels like her head is going to split open. Shaking her head, she wonders what exactly happened yesterday. She tries to recall the events of last night, but her memory stops at her drinking on Chae-woo's behalf. She hears a sound from the bathroom and wonders if he is in the shower. He usually showers at night. Moving the covers from her body, she discovers she is wearing different clothes. Her brain stops working for a moment as she stares down at her body. There is no way Chae-woo changed her, right? The door to the bathroom opens and Chae-woo steps out with only a towel tied loosely around his waist. Seeing her, he asks her if she is up. Staring at the man before her, Yeon can't control herself, and her face completely turns red, her eyes clouding over. Yeon's face is the color of a ripe tomato right now. Grabbing the blanket, she asks Chae-woo about yesterday. He assures her she changed her clothes herself last night, so she shouldn't worry about it. Yeon is relieved. He wants to know if it is bothering her that much, explaining she insisted she could change it herself and pushed him upstairs. Yeon isn't listening to him, however. Her eyes are on something else. The towel that seems like it could fall off his waist at any minute. Staring at it, she wonders if he has always been that big down there. Chae-woo is still talking and asks her if she remembers what he said while they were on their way home. She absent-mindedly asks him what he said while still staring at him. It is hideous, but she just can't look away. Placing a foot in the bed, he tells her some of his memories came back. Yeon's gaze is still on his lower body. Right now, she isn't concerned with anything he is trying to say. He says 2 years ago, he tried to die. This catches Yeon's attention, and she is confused. He tried to die? She recalls that scene from that night. So back then, he was trying to die? Chae-woo says 2 years ago, he actually died. Climbing onto the bed, he holds Yeon's hands. Ever since then, not once has he wished to wake up, so Yeon's first husband died 2 years ago. He tells her he is not that same ex-husband, so if she still has their ring, she should throw it away. If there are any old photos left, she has to burn them. From now on, she has remarried, and he has no intention of losing to that Kwon Chae-woo she remembers. Yeon is stunned as she stares at Chae-woo, who seems to be glowing. Kneeling before her, he lets her know that since she has tamed him, she has to take responsibility until the end. The fake couple are seated at the table eating. Yeon is watching Chae-woo, wondering if what he said earlier was true. If he is remembering, he must have a lot of questions, so why isn't he asking anything? It doesn't matter to her, but she feels it is a bit unsettling how silent he is. She doesn't know he is pretending. Unable to resist, she asks him if he has any questions for her. He says he doesn't. She wonders if he isn't curious about his past and what happened to make him want to die. Yeon keeps silent. Sure, it must be closely related to the tears he sheds every night. Chae-woo says it is simple. He must have wanted to die of regret. He doesn't know yet where the past Chae-woo came from, but he must have thought dying was his only option. Covering his lips, he says just talking about her ex-husband is making him nauseous. Yeon is confused by his behavior. She has no idea she has already revealed part of the truth. He wants to know if he was at least good at making money. Yeon can only lie and says he wasn't really making good money. Chae-woo says he knew it. He scolds Yeon for being too responsible and not even knowing how to slack off a little. If she picked up a brainless guy, she should at least use him properly. Yeon can't believe how he is acting and says it is hard for people to change. Acting like a man whose girlfriend is comparing him to her ex, he immediately refutes and says he is empty, so she shouldn't compare him to anybody. He says he is not the same as her ex-husband. Yeon laughs and agrees nervously. He asks her why she is reacting like this and says he is a blank state. He can become anyone and anything for her, even though he has the same face as her ex. Yeon wonders why he is so desperate. He promises to kick her ex away from her memory, and if he doesn't, she can chop him. Looking at him acting up, Yeon starts to laugh. She covers her mouth immediately, thinking this isn't funny, and pretends to cough to cover up. Seeing this, the petty-looking Chae-woo finally smiles and says he has something he is curious about. She wants to know what it is. He talks about the clinic and wants to know if it is only him, her, and Chuja working there. Her anxiety increases as she is afraid he remembered something. He says he needs to know everyone around her if he is going to be her husband properly. She is relieved and tells him they have one more employee, an unofficial insect expert. The thought suddenly comes to her mind. When Gyubek came previously, Chae-woo was asleep. But now that he is awake... Chae-woo and a child, isn't that a dangerous combination? She imagines the devil Chae-woo preying on the angelic Gyubek. Chae-woo calls her name, stopping her imagination. She coughs and says there is another employee, but he hardly visits as it is the school term. She assures Chae-woo he would meet him eventually. Chae-woo thinks it will be a matter of time, but he doesn't expect that time to arrive so soon and without warning. He is exercising outside when a small, handsome boy comes up to him and says he is officially meeting the director's mail, leaving Chae-woo staring in surprise. A cute little boy suddenly appears before him, surprising Chae-woo. He stops his exercise and flips over to stand properly. Little Gyubek is impressed and claps happily while Chae-woo wants to know his identity. The little boy introduces himself and says he is a first grader at Beodol Elementary School. Chae-woo says all right and wants to know what brought the little boy here. Gyubek immediately takes off his backpack and opens it, pulling out a large textbook. Chae-woo squats beside the boy, watching him furiously flip the pages. The boy stops on a page and proudly tells Chae-woo that ring-tailed lemurs use a floral scent to attract their females. Our male lead is confused. Ring-tailed what? Gyubek tells him he is giving off that scent right now. Chae-woo is amused and says he doesn't know what Gyubek is talking about, as his scent right now is just sweat. The boy says Chae-woo must be younger than the director. Chae-woo lets him know they are the same age, making the boy worried. This isn't allowed and is a big problem because Chae-woo's scent will spoil. Our male lead is confused. The little boy says younger males give off a stronger and more alluring scent than older males. Slapping his forehead, he tells Chae-woo he is in serious trouble. He starts mumbling about old junk. Chae-woo is amused and says he is a funny kid. Gyubek tells him Yeon is very popular, which makes Chae-woo alert. He asks Gyubek how many people, and the little boy starts counting, mentioning 3 different men. Seeing this, he tells Chae-woo he has to work harder. Yeon appears and calls out to Gyubek. The little boy runs to her. She asks him when he got here and he says a while ago, making her worry why he didn't tell her. She asks if anything happened. Chae-woo picks up Gyubek's bag and tells her he was just learning a few things from the little guy. Yeon immediately panics. Gyubek says he was just teaching him. She introduced Gyubek to Chae-woo as their last employer, but the little boy says he has told him everything already. Chae-woo tells the boy he will be counting on him. The 2 males share a handshake, and Gyubek says Chae-woo will be his assistant from now on. Seeing the 2 of them getting along leaves Yeon bewildered. She wonders what kind of situation this is. The couple are driving home. Yeon apologizes on Gyubek's behalf, telling Chae-woo the little boy wasn't trying to be rude. Chae-woo says he knows. Yeon still tries to clear the air. She says he is just a kid who has to do things his way once he gets hooked on. Chae-woo says the kid is just like him. Sitting in the passenger seat, he keeps staring at Yeon, who is driving. She can't take it anymore and tells him to look ahead and keep his eyes on the road. He refuses. He isn't the one driving. She tells him if she gets into an accident, it will be his loss too. He asks if she is going to crash, and she says maybe. He looks at her one more time before finally looking away, making her sigh in relief. He calls her name suddenly and says he needs an ID. His words make her panic, and she loses control of the car, causing them to crash. She manages to stop on time but is flung forward by the force. Chae-woo immediately holds her back, placing his hand between her and the wheel. He asks if she is all right. Chae-woo is in a mess, and not only because of the near accident. Right now, Chae-woo's arm is pressing against her chest. She starts blushing, making him worried. She pushes away, stating she is fine, totally and perfectly fine. He moves closer to her all of a sudden, sending her heart racing. She warns him for being too close. He shifts closer and she thinks he is going to kiss her, but he merely fixes her seatbelt, leaving Yeon oddly disappointed. They start driving again, and she asks why he needs an ID. He says to get a proper job. Yeon starts sweating. She asks why he needs a job. Isn't his work planting flowers at the hospital enough? He explains that it doesn't earn money. The only useful thing he has left is his body, so he wants to get a phone, open a bank account, and get a job. Yeon has other plans, however. She can never allow Chae-woo to go into the world on his own. She laughs and tells him she doesn't know where his ID is since it has been so long. She promises to search for it first. She has to keep him by her side so she can control his memories the way she wants to. Frowning, she thinks that even to herself, this sounds like a very incredible reason. In the doctor's office, Yeon is receiving reports on Chae-woo's health. The doctor says it is clear now. Whether or not Chae-woo sleeps depends on the presence of Yeon. Although she had a bunch, Yeon is still surprised to hear this. She wants to know the reason for this. The doctor suggests it could be from some trauma related to Yeon at the time of the accident. Yeon freaks out. She was the one traumatized then. The doctor presents another explanation. Chae-woo might have been hypnotized while in a vegetative state. Yeon is confused. The doctor reminds her of some words Chae-woo said when he first woke up. Please don't wake up. He explains to her that while the patient might not consciously remember, everything he heard over the 2 years he was in a coma has been piled up in his subconscious. Yeon doesn't want to believe this, as she knows she is the reason. Her desperate wish for him never to wake up 2 years ago seems to be coming through in this way. The doctor says he forgot to mention something and lists some symptoms that people with Chae-woo's illness might have. He wants to know if Chae-woo has displayed any of them. Glaring at the doctor darkly, she says that it is an important thing to forget. He laughs nervously and says, since she hasn't mentioned anything till now, there shouldn't have been a problem. Yeon, however, feels Chae-woo has displayed all these symptoms: aggression, hypersexuality, and behavioral issues. She suddenly feels empty inside. The doctor informs her that all patients need to rely on someone. Chae-woo can't do without her, so he is bound to cling to her eventually. It could take years, so Yeon will need some resolve too. Chae-woo approaches just then. The doctor whispers to her that he pities Chae-woo more. For the rest of his life, he would have to depend on Yeon just to start his day. Chae-woo is desperately chasing after Yeon. He begs her to wait so they can go together. He holds her box and asks if she is mad at him. She says she isn't. He tells her face doesn't look good and she keeps trying to walk off on her own. He teases her, asking if she plans to abandon him somewhere unfamiliar. She says that isn't it. Looking at her dull face, he is worried about how weak she looks. Leaning over, he guesses if she is sick. She says that isn't it. In her mind, she is thinking, if Chae-woo's behavior is really just a symptom of his illness, then shouldn't that ease her guilt? If his behavior is not because she lied that they were married but because of his sickness, it should be easier to walk away. So why does she feel like she is the one being mocked? Soon, her eyes become teary, and she begins to hit her head, scolding herself for her behavior. Chae-woo grabs her hand and stops her from hitting herself again. This doesn't make her feel better, as even something like this can move her. Because of this, she tries to send him away. He doesn't agree and says if she wants to be alone, he will just follow behind her. She finds it distracting, but he argues that he doesn't know his way back since they've gone so far. He teases her, saying he isn't good at anything because his head is filled with her. Just as he tells her to go on, he hears a sound from afar and stops talking. Seeing him look so serious, she wants to know what is wrong. He tells her not to look back and to just run. She is still confused, but he grabs her hand. He leads her to a tree and asks her to climb up. When she still tries to argue, he picks her up. She insists on knowing what is wrong, but his explanation is not necessary, as the reason for his panic shows its face. Coming in their direction is a wild boar. He urges her to climb, but she is trying to see what is approaching. She is still hesitating, so he yells at her to climb up fast. She finds him more frightening than the boar and quickly climbs the tree. Looking below her, she sees Chae-woo searching their box. She asks him what he is doing, as those tools are for treating trees, not hunting. She tells him not to do anything crazy and to climb up while she calls the rescue center. He grabs an axe and cuts some wood, making her yell at him for touching public property. The boar is almost here and Yeon is worried. She tells him to drop those things and climb up. Seeing the boar almost near him, she can't control herself and screams, telling him to get out of the way. Instead, he smiles and turns to reassure her. Looking at him getting ready to fight the boar, she says it is not the time to be saying that. Soon a deadly fight begins. Chae-woo versus the wild boar. Yeon can barely watch and even closes her eyes. When she opens them, she sees Chae-woo has struck the animal. She asks him if he has killed it, and he says not yet. Suddenly, the boar violently attacks Chae-woo, hitting him with its horns. Yeon panics and screams his name. She tells him not to panic, as she will contact the rescue center now and begs him not to die. She calls the center and tells them her location, saying a wild boar attacked someone. She doesn't complete her statement as she sees Chae-woo grab the boar's horn and jump on its back using the axe to strike it, killing it. On the phone, the person wants to confirm if a boar attacked someone. Yeon says no. This time, it is someone attacking a boar. Chae-woo is covered in blood and wipes it off his face. He tells Yeon to come down. She holds the tree tightly and refuses to, because for her right now, Chae-woo resembles a dangerous animal. Seeing her acting so stiff, he is worried she is too scared. She warns him not to come closer, however, as he is the scariest thing to her right now, especially with the axe in his hands. Chae-woo can't help but laugh, making Yeon think him creepy. She really wanted to go back in time and punch herself for feeling betrayed. Chae-woo suddenly grabs his waist and bends over, groaning. She is immediately worried and asks if he is hurt. He drops the axe and tells her she can come down now. At the hospital, the doctor bandages Chae-woo wounds while telling him it is a miracle to only be this injured. Yeon wants to know if that is true, and the doctor explains a boar is like a moving truck. Meeting one means you're dead. Yeon imagines what would have happened if Chae-woo hadn't insisted on going with her. The doctor says he has done a quick emergency treatment and will drop by their house later. She thanks him. Watching him leave, she is glad because the doctor's scatterbrained behavior saved her from exposing herself in front of Chae-woo. The man in question calls her name and she turns to face him. He asks about the doctor's identity. Yeon says he is just a doctor. Chae-woo doesn't believe and even stares at her suspiciously. She wonders what is up with that look. She explains to Chae-woo that the doctor has been the one treating him since he was in a vegetative state. Chae-woo suddenly asks an important question. Are they that rich? She was probably struggling just to take care of a coma patient, so how could she afford a private doctor who shows up with just one call? He finds this suspicious. Just the bill from taking care of a vegetative patient must have cost her a lot, and yet she still managed to hire a private doctor? Yeon sits there in shock. At this point, Chae-woo can just open a podcast and name it Chae-woo's Barrage of Questions. He asks too much. This question, however, makes her panic because how does she explain this? Well, our heroine has to come up with a lie somehow. She tells Chae-woo his family members, mainly his elder brother, all support her fully. She assures him the man is a real doctor, so he has no reason to worry about anything. After all, it is his family members that sent the doctor, so he can't be suspicious. Of course, she can't tell Chae-woo it is his whole family who are suspicious. She continues praising the doctor and says he came every day when Chae-woo was still in coma. He would drop by both day and night, just to make sure Chae-woo recovered. He really did his absolute best. Yeon might have said those words to make Chae-woo feel better about the doctor, but she has unknowingly put him in Chae-woo's black book. Our male lead can only focus on one thing, that the doctor could enter Yeon's home not only during the day, but even at night too. Yeon thinks the doctor coming around made her rest more comfortable, but Chae-woo doesn't stop frowning. His mind is fixed on the fact that while his Yeon was alone at home, the man could just come and go day and night. His jealousy is so high, he gets close to Yeon and stares her in the face. He lets her know he isn't happy. She tries to argue that he was present at the time, but he isn't listening. All he wants to know is what Yeon and the doctor were doing together day and night. Seeing his face that looks like he wants to eat her alive, Yeon is panicking hard. She stammers that they were doing some treatment. That just sounds worse in Chae-woo's ears. He wants to know what sort of treatment they were doing. Who exactly was treating who? Our cute girl is confused by his strange behavior and has to ask if they are still talking about the same doctor. She gets angry and suggests they call the doctor back since Chae-woo is having a hard time understanding simple things. Chae-woo knows he has gone too far and immediately apologizes. He knows his behavior isn't normal. However, he just panicked because Yeon seems really close and dependent on that doctor. Just speaking with the doctor alone made her change her attitude towards Chae-woo. It was after their discussion she insisted on being alone in the mountains. Compared to the perfectly capable doctor, our dear Chae-woo just feels like he has been a useless waste. He sadly says he has been a burden for her for 2 years, just lying around like an invalid without even bringing in some money. He lets Yeon know his feelings. Just thinking about that same doctor being able to enter and leave her house so freely, especially when she is alone, makes him very angry. He can even feel all his organs boiling in rage. Although his words are sweet and touching, Yeon cannot believe them. She thinks it is just another symptom of his illness. While the two sit in silence, the door is suddenly pushed open. A lady comes in yelling and looking for the person who caught the wild boar. The two of them are surprised by this newcomer. She is really beautiful. The lady smiles prettily as it seems she got the right place. Yeon has no idea who she is and so asks her. The lady in turn apologizes. She just got a bit too excited and forgot to introduce herself. She stands at attention and even gives a salute as she introduces herself as Ju Dong-mi. She works in the mammal division of the Wildlife Rescue Center. Girl, I almost thought you were from the military. She gives a cute wink and announces that they have already collected the wild boar's corpse and even tested it for virus. She bows deeply and thanks them for capturing the wild boar for them. While Yeon feels like they did nothing special, Dong-mi reveals the higher-ups were already pressuring them. That particular boar had already been attacking and killing people around the area. They had even given it the name Man-Eater because of how violent and nasty it was. It was getting so dangerous that they were planning to organize a professional hunter squad just to deal with it. Now that Chae-woo has taken care of it, however, they wouldn't need that anymore. Dong-mi looks right at him and thanks him again. Even though our heroine is slow, she can tell with just one look that this girl likes Chae-woo. She wonders enviously how people fall in love so quickly and naturally without any hesitation. She thinks it is really amazing. Dong-mi finds Chae-woo very admirable. And with a confidence that is just as admirable, she directly asks for his contact information. Our heroine is so stunned, she sits there in silence for about a minute. After several calculations and equations, the words Dong-mi said finally register. Her eyes go so wide, the whites are completely showing. What is this? What is happening right now? She can't believe it. This must be what they mean by getting hit on out of nowhere. Outside, Dong-mi's team members cheer her on. It is, however, ineffective. Dong-mi stands there with her phone outstretched for the longest time, but Chae-woo refuses to take it. He doesn't even look up at her. The people outside and inside are getting a bit embarrassed. After 2 generations have passed and Chae-woo still doesn't grab the phone, Yeon has to say something. She tells the girl that Chae-woo doesn't have a personal phone number. It might be hard to believe, but the man doesn't have a phone right now. Dong-mi isn't bothered and wants to know the relationship between the two of them. Yeon is about to say he is her husband, but she corrects herself and calls him her employee. Hearing this, the quiet Chae-woo on the bed laughs quite angrily. Dong-mi isn't one to give up easily. Since she can't have his phone number, she asks for a business card. Once again, Chae-woo doesn't have one, so Yeon gives the girl hers. The girl is surprised to find out Yeon is an arborist. Since she and her team members often accidentally damage trees during their mountain rescues, she wants to know if Yeon will be interested in taking on such cases. Yeon is very happy to hear that and says she would. In her mind, she gives a silent shout-out to her boss, Chuja. She really tried her best. Dong-mi's teammates can't help but tease her. They tell her if she chases someone who is not interested, the person will only run away faster. If this man has rejected her, then she should leave so they can go to the next site. Dong-mi just tells them to shut up. She isn't embarrassed at all. She gives a deep bow again and apologizes for disturbing them. Yeon returns the bow and the girl turns to leave. Before she does, though, she turns around and winks at Chae-woo. She tells him the next time they meet, he has to tell her his name. She wishes him a quick recovery and really leaves this time. Watching her go, Yeon is in awe. The girl is so resilient. Even after being rejected so thoroughly by Chae-woo, she isn't the least bit discouraged. Yeon can't help but compare herself to the girl. Just the possibility of a syndrome symptom is enough to discourage her. That girl must be someone strong from the inside. However, Yeon seems to have forgotten about a certain someone. Behind her, Chae-woo repeats the words she said about him being her employee. He asks if that was really the best word she had to describe him. She knows exactly what kind of timing sets him off and makes him angry. So why would she choose to turn her back on him again? Yeon is nervous and tries to explain that Ju Dong-mi obviously likes him. He doesn't let her finish her statement, however, as he finds it annoying. Why is she already calling the girl by her name? Since when were they familiar? Walking past her, he tells her she really treats the dogs horribly. Left alone in the ward, Yeon stands in silence. Yeon has never been so uncomfortable. She is in the car, driving home with Chae-woo. Since they left the hospital, he clearly hasn't spoken to her. He hasn't even looked at her just once. She sadly remembers the times he would stare at her even when she told him not to. Feeling a little down, she keeps sneaking glances at him, but he just stares out the window. Yeon can't understand her conflicting feelings. When he stared at her, his gaze made her extremely nervous. Now that he isn't looking at her, however, she feels empty, like something that has been cast away. She has no idea why, but being with this man just makes her feel several nameless emotions. The two finally arrive at their home. Yeon sighs. She is just telling Chae-woo to rest since the doctor is coming soon when he suddenly starts taking off his clothes. Yeon gives a little scream because how did they end up here? She really isn't expecting this. Looking at her with his sexy eyes, Chae-woo makes a statement that directly turns our heroine into the color of a ripe tomato. He asks her to wash him. Yeon is so frightened, she just wants to run away. Are her ears damaged, or did Chae-woo just ask her to wash him? Her face is completely red, and she moves away from him like he is a monster. Chae-woo isn't offended by her reaction. He points out that when a dog gets filthy after running around outside, it is the owner's responsibility to clean it up and even dry its fur too. Yeon reminds him of his words that she shouldn't serve others. He moves closer to her and bends to her height. He tells her service might be a selfless act. But if she does something for him, he is ready to repay her double, no matter what it is. He asks her to look at him well as he isn't a shameless husband. He repeats his request again. Wash me. Yeon has found a way to make washing Chae-woo easier. She just has to imagine he is a dog. Well, not those cute little dogs you see around. This one is more like a big black wolfhound. Yes, all she has to do is splash some water and lather some shampoo. They are all animals anyways, so there is not much difference. It's all going to be fine. After giving herself that pep talk, she opens the door. Sitting inside the bathtub with water running over his steamy body, Chae-woo welcomes Yeon. He turns his head and gives a sexy half-smile. He looks just like a concubine welcoming the emperor. Help! My nose is bleeding. Our heroine is feeling the same way because her face turns red again. At this point, she should just be called Red Yeon. Looking at him now, Yeon concludes that washing Chae-woo is totally different from washing a dog. To calm herself, our heroine quickly slaps her face a couple of times. Right, she needs to calm down. She scolds him for jumping straight into the bathtub without removing his bandage. Now, they are all soaked through. His excuse is that the doctor is coming so he can change them. Yeon points out he is wearing his pants inside the freaking bathtub. Our male lead naughtily says his hands hurt too much to undo his buckle. Therefore, our innocent little Yeon will have to take them off for him. Hey. Yeon can't believe this fake temptress. A few moments ago, he was clearly moving around just fine. Unfortunately, she's dealing with the scheming Chae-woo. He has the most pitiful reply prepared. He says it might have been because he has been in a coma for too long, but sometimes he would suddenly lose control of his body. And that is very scary. He pitifully asks Lee Yeon to help him. Yeon has to cover her eyes because his beauty is just blinding. She knows he is scamming her at this point, but what can she do? She also has a secret scam going on. Like a little devil, Chae-woo whispers for her to hurry since he wants to go and rest. Left with no choice, Yeon agrees to help him. In her mind, she just wants to get this over with. But even after a long time, she just can't do it. Plus, Chae-woo is right there staring at her. Yeon can't take it anymore and closes her eyes. Whatever happens, happens. And with that, she reaches for his belt. Except, she doesn't quite get the right spot. No, our heroine has managed to miss the buckle and is now gripping something else. I think we can all guess what it is, wink. Chae-woo kindly reminds her she is touching the wrong spot and directs her to go higher. At this point, Yeon just wants to die. She starts screaming like she just touched a hot iron. Chae-woo can't stand it and asks if he is some filthy object. She is seriously being too much right now. Yeon apologizes, but just can't get rid of the thought that she just touched that spot. Chae-woo brings out his acting skills again and sadly says Yeon is always too harsh on him. In a classic case of, don't let them know your next move, he grabs Yeon and throws her into the bathtub with him. Yeon is so angry. Looking at her clothes, which are all wet now, she slaps Chae-woo on his chest and scolds him. Clearly, he was lying about his hand hurting if he had the strength to pull her up. She doesn't continue talking, however, because Chae-woo does something that makes her freeze in shock. This annoying man bites her cheek. Yeon can only sit there and look at him in horror. When he is done, her eyes are already full of tears as she wonders if he is really a dog. He says that was a punishment for her messing around. She protests because she did no such thing. He reminds her of what happened in the hospital. She put him up for display like he is something she is trying to sell off. Yeon says she was not trying to pawn him off. This doesn't make things better for her as Chae-woo is now truly annoyed. He sits up so their position is reversed, and now she is the one lying in the bathtub. He is convinced she couldn't throw him away because of guilt, so she is planning to just hand him off to someone else instead. She must have always been thinking about getting rid of him. She tries to defend herself, but he isn't done talking. Since he promised to do anything she asked him to do, he wants to know now if she seriously wants him to go sleep with another woman. Yeon is so baffled by this question that everything he says after that goes through one ear and out the next. Why would she tell him to go sleep around? He wants her to explain clearly what she meant, otherwise he would start thinking she is pushing him away because she wants other men. He tells her he also has insecurities too. Yeon is just totally confused at this point. She only just answered Dongmi's questions. How did it become so extreme? She suddenly remembers what the doctor said about his illness. It can cause aggression and hypersexuality. And once again, Yeon concludes that everything happening is just because of his symptoms. Chae-woo is still waiting for her answer. But how can she answer when she didn't even hear his question? When she can't answer, he says he understands. She just sits there confused because what is he understanding? He tells her before she sells him off, she will have to first try him out. And while she sits there confused, he leans down and kisses her. While she is still dazed, Chae-woo tells her they are creating an instruction manual. She will have to write the user manual properly. Seeing him moving closer, Yeon knows what he is about to do, but she doesn't want to. She knows she won't be able to think straight if he touches her again. Before she can escape, though, he starts kissing her. It is just as she thought. Just like the last time, she can't think straight again. She wonders why she is letting herself get controlled by him. She knows if she pushes him away, he will stop. However, she just can't bear to. The two continue their intimate actions, but it reaches a point Yeon can't take it anymore and tells him she doesn't want this. In her entire life, she has never wanted sensations like this. When she sees Chae-woo doesn't want to stop, she immediately sells the doctor out. Sorry, doctor, but you will just have to be the scapegoat. She tells him why she has been avoiding him, because he is sick. She lists all the symptoms he has and tells him what he is doing right now is exactly the same as those symptoms. His obsession with her is just because he is sick. She says what he is doing right now might not even be something he wants. It might just be the sickness controlling his mind. But the more she talks, the more she is hurting herself with those words. She is feeling sad when Chae-woo finally speaks. He tells her she is doing it again. That habit of hearing something from outside and then coming home to repeat it to him. He moves away from her and Yeon suddenly feels cold again. She covers herself properly. Before she can leave, he tells her those words are just what she wants to believe. The doctor's words are not gospel. Deep down, she must be hoping those words are the truth and everything is just because of his illness. That way, it would be easier for her to accept. Yeon has no idea how she is supposed to feel after hearing that. She seems to realize now that all along she wanted everything to be Kwon Chae-woo's real feelings. Chae-woo asks her to assume then that the illness is why he is attracted to her. Then it isn't his fault, right? Even if she treats him badly, it isn't his fault. Yoon is not listening because she finally realized that Chae-woo has had feelings for her all along. Remember when they say you should be careful of what you say? It seems Yeon never heard that phrase. And now, everything she said is coming back to haunt her. Chae-woo is a man on a mission as he carries Yeon to their bedroom. He sets her down on the bed and reminds her of the words she said. Aggression, hypersexuality, and weird behavior? He claims they are all true. Yeon knows he is using the words she said against her. All the lies she told are coming back at her. Chae-woo smiles like a devil and says everything she said is true. Now she has no choice but to go along with it for the sake of her poor, sick husband. Yeon is helpless now and can't do anything. After a round of intimacy, the two sit on the bed. Chae-woo tells her to take a look at who the real, heartless person is. He knew just how she felt in the car, and he almost couldn't stop himself from pining her down then. But of course, she will say it is just his illness. He lets her go so suddenly that Yeon has to sit up and look at him. He has one hand covering his face as he finally airs his feelings. He feels like he is going crazy. Every time she keeps pushing him away like this. Some days, she will hold on to him like she never wants to let him go. And then on other days, she suddenly starts to push him away. One moment, it seems like she is right there and he can reach out to her and grab her. The next moment, she is ignoring how he feels just because of what other people say. He is confused on which version of her to follow. Looking at the man trembling in front of her, Yeon feels pain in her heart. This is a man who never flinched when he had countless nightmares after waking up. He still didn't flinch when climbing a 30-meter tree with his bare hands and not when he fought a wild boar. He is trembling now in front of her. She realizes that while she has been so busy trying to get through the moment, she never thought about how her lies would look through his eyes. Even though she knows the truth, she still feels lost every day. Then what about Chae-woo? He can't even remember anything right now. She can't imagine how he must be feeling. It must be like he is walking on a trembling surface and is not sure when it would crumble under his feet. The lies she tells him are so flimsy, they can't hold up under scrutiny. And yet because she is the one saying them, he just believes it. He asks her if she takes him for a fool. To be honest, he isn't completely wrong. But if she says it, she would be a piece of trash. Her silence is enough answer for him, and he tells her so. She tries to deny it, but it is too late. He tells her to keep taking him like a fool, but she has to keep him close while she does it. He will keep playing the part of the sick and crazy husband if that is what she wants. Yeon finds this strange. Those words would have frightened her some time ago, but now they just make her feel comforted. She even wonders if she has gotten whatever sickness Chae-woo has. He begs her to play along with him, and once again, they start to get intimate. While the two are getting busy, Yeon suddenly hears someone coming up the stairs. The innocent doctor who has no idea what is going on is here for another fun overtime. Compared to the doctor's happy singing, Yeon is panicking right now. The big wolf Chae-woo doesn't want to stop. He even says he will use this opportunity to teach the doctor a lesson. The man has to stop sneaking into someone else's newlywed home like a rat. He has to know the consequences. Yeon can't understand what this man is saying. She asks him to think about their social reputation, but he isn't bothered. He just refuses to stop. At this time, she hears the door beeping. The doctor is trying to get in. Thankfully, he makes a mistake on the passcode and has to try again. Yeon is so frightened that she agrees to grant Chae-woo one request of his choice. It must not involve getting intimate, though. Chae-woo is pleased with this and reminds her of her promise. By now, the doctor has gotten the passcode correct and pushes open the door, only to meet the scariest sight of his life. Chae-woo is standing right in front of the door and glaring at the doctor darkly. It looks like he wants to kill him. Yeon is in his arms covered completely in a blanket and seems to be asleep. Chae-woo scolds the doctor for not knocking. He mockily asks if the man didn't learn any manners in elementary school. The poor doctor has seen the clothes scattered on the floor and just stands there shocked. Our male lead leaves angrily, while the poor doctor stands there wondering how any of this is his fault. Once they are upstairs, Yeon, who has been pretending to be dead, wakes up. She slaps Chae-woo's chest and asks him what he is going to do about this. She has to see the doctor every time she goes to the hospital, and now she is just too embarrassed. The petty wolf Chae-woo is bothered by something else. Why does the doctor know the passcode when he doesn't? His question catches Yeon off guard. He is bitter about the way the doctor just walked in, like it is his own house. Yeon is nervous as she doesn't know the backdoor code either. Yeon stubbornly thinks she can't be blamed for this. After all, it was his brother that set up the passcode and only the medical staff can use it. He is unhappy because he is the husband, but he doesn't know anything. She points out that he was sick, though. He isn't satisfied, though. He just can't accept that even strangers might know more about her. He doesn't know her birthday, their anniversary, or even her phone number. He sadly hugs her. Yeon feels bad for him. How can she tell him he has never known any of these? She can only say he shouldn't rush things. They can start taking their time to learn all these things again. Chae-woo insists on knowing the backdoor passcode, but Yeon doesn't know it either. Please ask something that won't get her caught. He doesn't, and insists on that question. A nervous Yeon doesn't know what to say. In fact, too much has happened today, so now her brain doesn't work anymore. She wonders what she can use to distract him now. She knows only one thing that she can do to steal his attention. She doesn't want to do it, but she has no choice. And so our dear innocent Yeon goes ahead to seduce him. She calls him names softly. She feels ashamed, as this is the first time she is making a sound like that. She teasingly asks him if he wants to keep doing this with her. And just like Yeon expected, Chae-woo is so stunned, he even turns away and starts blushing. She feels proud that he would fall for such a cheap trick, especially from an amateur like her. She continues and tells him to make sure he gets better quickly. He has to change his bandages and properly take care of himself. She whispers that she has touched wood before, so touching him won't really surprise her anymore. Her words affect him so much he has to put her down and kneel before her. He asks why she has to bring up wood right now. She must be doing this on purpose, isn't she? Of course she is, sir. He knows he told her she could play around with him, but tells her to stop making him look pathetic. In the same breath, however, he asks if he should be looking forward to it. Such low esteem. Yeon is frightened and asks what he has to look forward to. He says her palm so he will make sure he recovers quickly. And there it is again. Yeon wonders how she always manages to close one hole just to dig another bigger pit for herself. On an empty, deserted street, a man in crutches alights from a cab. It turns out to be the one of the men Chae-woo attacked. He complains about how much his body aches even while lying down. And yet, his professor wants him to go out and meet someone at this late hour. He remembers his professor's words. It seems someone important wants to meet him. Even the professor finds this group of people hard to deal with and advises the man not to mess things up. The man doesn't believe that his professor, Jo Kyung-chun, who is not a simple man himself, has someone who he finds difficult to handle. He wonders just who it is. He steps into the meeting room and sees a young man in a black outfit and black face cap. He screams loudly because he recognizes this man. It was the punk that lived next door to him. He even ignored him when he was dying. The man is still busy swearing when the boy drops a document in front of him. He wonders what it is and picks it up. Seeing the file inside the document, the man starts to tremble in fear. The young man asks why the man is still worried about the records, even after his professor said he has erased them. It turns out to be a criminal investigation report. The man is a bit doubtful. He doesn't believe that the legacy of Hwang Jo-yoon, who managed to grow and sell weed when he was still an undergraduate, can disappear all because Jo Kyung-chun waves his hands. The young man approaches and grabs the man's shoulders. He asks why he didn't go home to wash his feet and sleep after having fun with their young master. Instead, he went to get a medical report. The man is shocked as he doesn't know who their young master is. The young man tells him he has a message from Director Kwon for him. He has to quit messing around and just live quietly. The boy leaves, but the injured man is still there. He recalls a time with his professor, Kyung-chun. The man rarely shared anything personal, but because he was drunk that day, he confessed that it was the Kwon family who made him become a professor, and that is why he must always repay the Kwon's family grace. The director Kwon whom the boy was referring to must be Kwon Gishok, the CEO of Suguk, a pharmaceutical company. The company sits at the top of famous brands and is even more known for how handsome and young their CEO is. Sitting in a dark office and smoking a cigarette, the famous Kwon Gishok is staring at a picture in his hands. It is a picture of Yeon. He calls out our heroine's name, Souli Yeon, and says she has done something very interesting. We take a brief look at our heroine's past. It is the middle of the day when everyone is supposed to be working. But inside a little house, a man is reciting poems to his beloved. It is our lovely Chuja, and even though she knows it is foolish, she still finds him romantic. His handsome face almost makes her forget he doesn't work or provide money. Keyword, almost. The girl immediately recovers and thinks it's not okay. Still, she forgets everything when the handsome man begins to feed her. Living with her first love after many years of being apart is her greatest happiness. The couple are busy cleaning up when the man suddenly mentions his relative, a female student he met at a funeral. Chuja still remembers the girl. Both her parents had been rushed to the hospital. The child had looked half dead as she stood outside their rooms, unable to enter. Chuja could never forget that scene. Her man interrupts her thinking with an absurd request. He wants the child to live with them. While the woman is in shock, her husband says he has heard stories about the girl. The adults in his family all pitied her for being born into the wrong home. She was left alone in such a cruel house, and now she has been kicked out. The girl has been moving around, living with one relative or the other. Her husband wants her to stay with them. Chuja knows she should refuse. This might be her third marriage, but she is still a new bride. She doesn't know the child's name, and right now the couple can barely feed themselves. She wants to say no, but looking at her man's sad face, she eventually gives in. Her husband is surprised. He wasn't expecting her to agree because he knows his request is shameless. Chuja admits to thinking about the girl. If she refuses, her heart won't be at peace. The woman smiles as she agrees to take the girl in, although her choice of words is a bit questionable. The next day, the man arrives with a trembling young girl. The child introduces herself as Lee Yeon, and even as she says her greetings, she keeps stammering. Chuja is moved with pity when she sees how thin the girl looks. She grabs her shoulder in a friendly gesture. Our heroine clearly wasn't expecting such kindness. Her face moves from confusion into a bright, warm smile. From that day, Chuja vowed to feed and raise this little girl. She would make sure the child becomes a beautiful butterfly. It's been 10 years, but the woman is still keeping her promise. Right now, she is terrorizing Lee Yan, trying to make her accept the dress she bought. Our heroine refuses to give in, and Chuja wonders what is wrong with this modest dress. Lee Yan screams as she points at the open shoulders and short length of the dress, wondering where the modesty is. Her aunt yells at her and she cowers. She is supposed to attend Chairman Lim's 40th anniversary, and Chuja wants her to fit in. Someone interrupts their yelling match, and the women turn around to see a divine being. Chae-woo appears, looking gorgeous in his suit. Chuja can feel the flowers blooming because of his beauty, and she begins to cry. She yells at a terrified Lee Yan, blaming her for hiding such a handsome body in jeans and shirts. Our heroine glares at the culprit because he stands out too much. She doesn't even want him to leave the house. The man notices her harsh stares, and the girl quickly looks away. He always makes her feel shy. Chuja decides to get help from her son-in-law and hands him the dress, ignoring all of Lee Yan's protests. She imagines her child wearing plain clothes next to this handsome man and almost faints. Chae-woo joins in and tries to persuade Lee Yan, but she keeps refusing. The man changes strategies and reminds her of his wish. She had promised to do anything for him as long as it wasn't intimate. The man moves closer as he expresses his regret. He still has so many parts of her to enjoy. Lee Yan turns bright red and pushes the naughty man away. He smiles but reminds her to keep her promise. The shy girl has no choice but to agree. The couple arrive at the ball with different emotions. Lee Yan is nervous while Chae-woo is clearly happy. The man feels proud to be attending an event as her husband. Our heroine plans to rush inside, greet the chairman, and leave immediately. But when they step into the banquet, everyone stops and stares at them. Lee Yan hates being in public, and now she is attracting more attention because of the handsome Chae-woo. She regrets listening to her aunt and bringing him along. She glares at him, but the man doesn't seem nervous. He looks so composed, and she begins to suspect this is his normal life. Just then, the silly man leans over and claims everyone is staring at her. He is unhappy to see other men ignoring him and watching his wife. Lee Yan knows they are looking at him, but the man is convinced they are admiring his pretty wife. His words shock the girl so much, even her neck turns red. She finds an excuse and convinces herself it is just because he looks different. But things quickly turn dark when she hears someone talking about her. Lee Yan's mood changes as she hears people talking about her. The men are surprised by her appearance and wonder if Chae-woo is really her employee. Most of them think he is her lover. Their words affect our heroine, and she panics, wondering why the rumors followed her to Huaidong. Chae-woo tries to comfort her but notices her terrible state. The girl is in despair because even without knowing her past, everyone still hates her. Our heroine has had a tough life. She rejected everyone, dressed decently, and tried to separate herself from her shameless parents. She convinced herself that she didn't need anyone and living alone was the right choice. But right now, she is wearing such immoral clothes and walking around with a man in front of everyone. Chae-woo is trying to comfort her and even offers to leave. But all Yeon can see is their intimate moments. She feels disgusted and even pushes the man away. The girl refuses to leave, but finds it hard to cross the line between them. It separates the two lovers. Chae-woo tries to cross this gap, but someone chooses that moment to interrupt them. A stunning woman in black appears, yelling our girl's name. Lee Yan is sure she doesn't know this model, but the girl introduces herself as Ju Dong-mi. She is the stubborn woman who tried to snatch our male lead. Lee Yan is shocked by the woman's appearance. Just like Chae-woo, she seems used to this life. She asks about the rest of the girls' team, but Dong-mi reveals this is a private event and the chairman is her uncle. She ignores the shocked Yan and starts to flirt with Chae-woo. This scene gives our heroine a strange feeling. Dong-mi asks to speak to her man alone, and the two stare at her, waiting for a reply. Their stares give the girl a lot of pressure. Chae-woo is almost begging her with his eyes to cross the line, but instead, Lee Yan runs away. The man tries to chase her, but suddenly stops when he hears the music. He looks shocked and confused as a part of him recognizes the melody. Dong-mi watches him and also thinks he looks familiar. It seems our male lead's identity will soon be exposed. Chae-woo is trembling and sweating, but he knows he has to see Lee Yan. Only her sweet scent can calm his mind. Dong-mi is worrying over him when the man turns away and rushes outside. None of them notices a man watching them, and he calls Chae-woo his young master. Lee Yan escapes outside but keeps thinking about Chae-woo. She knows the man must be furious. He had asked her not to push him away, but she keeps repeating the same mistake. The girl feels sorry, but she couldn't stand there and watch another woman flirt with him. She doesn't know how to handle such emotions and decides to take a walk around to clear her head. She can't leave because her silly man has no money to get home. She feels bad when she remembers he has no phone. She's really isolating him from the world. The girl hears someone calling her name and immediately looks irritated. It is her creepy stalker, Jo-yun. He complains about her choice of clothes, but the girl ignores him. She talks to the trees, which makes him very furious. He demands an apology, but the girl asks for a reason. The man starts yelling, telling her to look at his injured body. His trick fails because Yeon thinks her husband was too gentle. She tells Jo-yun to be thankful he can still breathe right now. The man is so angry, he can't even breathe. He suddenly gets an evil look on his face as he mentions how extraordinary her man looks. He wonders if she has told him about her family. That is our girl's weakness, and she immediately looks terrified. Jo-yun is happy to see her this way, and even laughs. He thinks no family would be willing to accept her because of her horrible past. The man has somehow found out about her parents cheating during the marriage. And even worse, Yeon's real father is her own uncle. Now that is some serious family drama. Lee Yeon's early life was full of sadness. Even as a toddler, people would gossip about her parents. Her mother had slept with her best friend's husband and ran away after they were exposed. She even left her child behind, forcing the couple to care for her. Yeon can hear their nasty words and notices the dark look on the woman's face. Her aunt immediately pushes her and walks away. The gossipers show no pity, and instead feel sorry for the woman's 2 kids. Yeon ignores their mean words and chases after her mother. The woman turns back when she hears Yeon crying and immediately hugs the child. The gossipers find her behavior disgusting. Yeon also suffered in school. Her body was always covered in scars, but anyone who tried to help her was warned to stay away. The students refused to play with her, calling her shameless for living with the family her mother destroyed. Her cousins would also scare off her friends, causing so much trouble that even the teachers had to leave her alone. They wanted Yeon's life to be full of loneliness. The harassment didn't end there, because her cousin showed up at her workplace and exposed her family history to everyone. He called her a liar who was pretending to be innocent. Yeon couldn't bear this suffering and chooses to quit. Some pitied her because she was very kind, while others believed her cousin's words. The girl ignored their gossip and walked away. Our heroine remembers those dark days and starts screaming. Jo-yun is pleased to see her trembling in fear and even laughs. The girl can't breathe and is desperate to find a tree to calm her heart. But somehow she ends up tripping and falling to the ground. Jo-yun laughs even harder, clearly happy to see her suffering. He looks down on her love for trees and approaches the girl. He is about to touch her with his stinky hands when someone appears and nearly destroys his face with a punch. Chae-woo has arrived and he doesn't look pleased. He decides to vent his anger by stepping on the wicked man's foot and breaking his leg. He rushes to Yeon's side, but the girl is in shock and keeps stammering. Chae-woo is upset and gently carries her. He tries his best to comfort her and Yeon can finally breathe. Jo-yun refuses to accept defeat and tries to convince Chae-woo to give up on her. He reveals that the girl's parents have been sleeping with their own family. His plan fails as Chae-woo claims he already knew because he is her husband. The two leave, ignoring the screaming man. Jo-yun keeps insulting them until he hears someone approaching. It is the handsome boy from the banquet. He has a dark look on his face as he reminds Jo-yun of his warning to stay quiet. Chae-woo has no idea someone is taking revenge for him and is busy worrying about his wife. He only relaxes when he notices she isn't injured. He apologizes, blaming himself for not handling Jo-yun well. The girl feels sorry. She thought the man would be angry, but instead, he apologizes. The two are relaxing, but Yeon is afraid he heard everything Jo-yun said. She already looks upset, but Chae-woo assures her he is okay. He still believes they are married and is sure he must have known everything about her past. Yeon feels ashamed because she is deceiving him. The girl feels ashamed and decides to tell Chae-woo the truth. Well, not the whole truth. She admits that he entered the marriage without knowing about her dirty past. The man wonders why she is confessing, but Yeon also has no idea. Chae-woo answers the question for her and claims she is revealing her feelings. Our heroine turns red, annoyed by his weird suggestion. She reminds him he has been trapped in a marriage by a woman with a bad past. The man has a sexy smile on his face as he admits he likes being trapped by her. Yeon can't even yell at him because her whole face is red. She has no idea what she should do with him and insists she isn't a gold digger. Chae-woo feels some regret because he is prepared to let her dig his gold. Yeon ruins his wild dreams and reminds him he has no money. The man laughs and she wonders why he isn't angry. She expects him to be upset about her family's past or her abandoning him. Chae-woo is only angry because she left him behind with another woman. Yeon thought he would be more concerned about her family's past, but Chae-woo doesn't care. He is just upset to see his woman suffering. The girl is stunned and stares at his handsome face. From a young age, people had avoided her. She believed no one would want or choose her, and she couldn't even face herself. She preferred to stay with the trees because they would never judge her. Yeon had convinced herself she didn't need anyone, but now all her plans are changing because of one man. Chae-woo leans over to kiss her just as the fireworks begin. The girl can't take her eyes off him. He finally pulls away and is proud to have gotten his compensation. He warns her never to abandon him again. Chae-woo is worried the fireworks might be too loud, but all Yeon can see is his handsome face. For the first time, she has a strange feeling in her heart. The girl realizes she had crossed the line a long time ago. A few days later, Chuja and Yeon are done with work and take a moment to relax. Yeon is worried about her man because he refuses to eat until she returns. She almost dies from choking when Chuja suddenly asks if she has gotten intimate with Chae-woo. She scolds her aunt for thinking about immoral things in public. She tries to deny it, but Chuja has seen through her. Her niece has been acting like a lovesick girl these days. Yeon refuses to admit it, but she knows her feelings have changed. She blames the naughty Chae-woo, who is always doing something romantic, making her blush every time. She remembers what happened last night. He was eager to get intimate with her and proudly announced that his wound had healed. Yeon realized with some shock that she doesn't reject his touches anymore. The man promised to be obedient and started kissing and touching her. The girl stopped him because she was afraid of these new feelings. Chae-woo was disappointed but still let her go and headed upstairs. Yeon refused to analyze her feelings, afraid her emotions might change everything. Chuja interrupts her thinking and tells her not to be scared. She believes some love stories can have a good ending and encourages Yeon not to give up on love. She wants the girl to remember the happiness that love brings and reminds Yeon of her first love, the singing tree. We want to know more about that, so we go back to the past. We see a younger Yeon dressed in her uniform and heading to her favorite spot. She is happy to see it empty. She rushes to the foot of the tree and relaxes, wondering why no one has claimed this beautiful spot. The girl is pleased with her new life at her uncle's house. She gets to enjoy nature and the couple have been so kind to her. Her uncle teaches her about the plants while Chuja worries about her dressing and health. Yeon is happy to enjoy such peaceful days, but her smile soon turns to tears as she mourns the death of her parents. The girl doesn't believe their death was just an accident. She is hurt by her parents' indifference. She can feel hatred from her cousins and kindness from her uncle, but her real parents had no emotions for her. Now that they are dead, she can never know their true feelings. The girl wonders why they gave birth to her and left her alone in that horrible house. They had never checked on her, treating her like a complete stranger with no feelings. Yeon is about to sink into despair when she hears a beautiful melody. She almost mistakes it for a violin, but the song is too deep. The melody touches her heart and she realizes it is a cello. From that day, Yeon had a mystery friend. The boy would play some comforting music on her sad days. If she is happy, he plays some cheerful songs. He would even mess up the notes sometimes, just to make her laugh. Yeon became curious about his identity and left a note on the tree. It soon turned into a mountain of letters. The mystery friend never replied, but he always took the notes. Yeon returns home but keeps thinking about her childhood. Her uncle died a year later from cancer, and their family had to move houses. She forgot about the singing tree, but now wonders what happened to her mystery friend. Chae-woo notices her distraction and turns off the TV. He accuses the girl of ignoring him. Yeon claims they were watching TV, but he can tell she is distracted. He feels sad because he had spent the whole day waiting for her to return. The man wonders if he is really that boring. Yeon is confused, but he acts like a helpless victim. He prays he should be sick again, so her attention will only be on him. The girl won't admit it, but she already thinks about him too much. She knows this shouldn't be happening. Just then, she receives a phone call and immediately looks terrified. Chae-woo is worried, but she tries her best to distract him. She claims it is a work call, but it is actually his brother, Kwon Gishok. The man called every 3 months, but this is his first call since his brother woke up. Even worse, Chae-woo is right next to her. Yeon can't imagine what Gishok will do if her lies are exposed. Things get worse because Chae-woo notices the caller's name. He grabs her phone, wondering which man is calling his wife in the middle of the night. Yeon almost had a heart attack. She tries to snatch her phone back, but it is too late. Chae-woo answers the call and she watches him in fear. He demands to know who is calling and Gishok reveals his identity. The man is shocked but obediently hands the phone to Yeon. The girl almost bows as she answers the call. Gishok knows his brother is awake and has found out about her lies. Yeon's face is red and she trembles in fear. She wonders how Gishok found out, but remembers the doctor is his man. He must have people watching them. Gishok says she has made a big mistake and his voice makes her shiver in fear. He suddenly changes his tune and claims he doesn't care what she does with Chae-woo. He had promised to support her the first time they met and just wants her to fulfill her duties. Yeon knows what the man is talking about. He had asked her to keep Chae-woo in Hwaidome until they catch the real killer. The girl trembles and can barely breathe until someone snatches the phone from her. The innocent Chae-woo thinks his brother is bullying his wife like a mean mother-in-law. His simple words make Giseok laugh. Yeon trembles in fear as Chae-woo scolds his brother. He doesn't care about his family and warns Giseok to stop bullying his wife. His brother is amused. He mentions Yeon's bidding competition and says he is advising her about the screening process. The girl is in shock because Giseok just called her Chae-woo's wife. Our male lead doesn't notice her behavior and supports his wife. He praises her ability, which leaves the girl stunned. Chae-woo warns his brother not to call again and hangs up. Giseok finds his innocent behavior cute. He praises Lee Yeon for turning a wild animal like Chae-woo into a house dog. Just then, his assistant announces Kyung-chun's arrival. Giseok meets Kyung-chun and apologizes for attacking his favorite student. The director doesn't defend the boy and even claims he is useless. Secretly, he calls Jo-yeon stupid. He was supporting the man until he messed with the chairman's friend. The director is curious about the mystery person Jo-yeon offended. Giseok interrupts his thoughts and asks about a project. The men seem to be raising a rare plant, and Giseok warns the director to keep it a secret. The man looks nervous as he agrees, and it seems he might have spilled the secret. Kyung-chun is stuck in traffic and thinks about the Kwon family. He still gets nervous around them because their family is too powerful. He recalls the first time he visited their mansion. He was still a student and some guards had dragged him to meet the chairman. Chairman Kwon was the head of the family and also Giseok's grandfather. His aura was so powerful, it almost made the boy faint. Kyung-chun noticed that every master of the Kwon family has the same aura, but instead of using it properly, they ran a money-lending business. The Kwon family seemed to be supporting young CEOs, but they were actually running an intelligence business. Chairman Kwon lent money to everyone around the world. For 80 years, his family controlled the nation and all the popular companies. They raised experienced torturers who blended into the nation's intelligence system. Those people soon created their own private company and worked for the government. Chairman Kwon used those men to gather secrets about top companies, but he still wasn't satisfied. The man was desperate to expand his business and decided to raise poor children who had extreme talent. Those children grew up and earned important positions in the nation. They were only loyal to the Kwon family and would fulfill all their instructions. Kyung-chun reveals that he also belongs to the Kwon family. He noticed their twisted nature after he grew older and dedicated his life to serving them. But the man has been keeping one major secret from his family. We go back to a few years ago. We see a younger Yeon stuck in a swamp and screaming for his help. The director rushes to save her and wonders where Jo-yeon is. The girl says he ran away, and the man expresses his disgust. Yeon feels sorry because the director had always warned her to be careful. To make up for her mistakes, she tells him about the awesome plant she found. She points at the flower and it seems to be glowing. The girl has no idea what it is, but Kyung-chun is in shock. It turns out it was Lee Yeon who found that special flower a few years ago. It was a rare plant with no name, and he immediately reported it to the Kwon family. Soon, the rare plant was taken away. Kyung later found out that all the researchers who worked on the plant were killed. He was worried about Lee Yeon and used Jo-yeon's stalking incident to send her away. The director remembers Giseok's warning. He believes he is someone without feelings, but Yeon's innocent behavior and love for the trees melted his heart. The man doesn't want to ruin her innocence. He thought he had kept her safe, but the stubborn girl just had to open her own clinic and join the Whitehome Project. The director wonders if the plant is calling her. He wishes Yeon could escape from this danger and avoid the Kwon family, but it is too late and our heroine is already involved with the Kwon men. Chae-woo is giving her a massage, worried about her pale face. The man still believes his wife has been facing trouble from his family. Yeon does her best to distract him from the incident. She finds it strange because Giseok didn't care about her deceiving Chae-woo. He seemed to have no emotions for his brother who just woke up after 2 years. The girl suddenly realizes that he never visited Chae-woo. She believes the brothers must have a distant relationship. Just then, the man kisses her hands. Yeon almost jumps out of her skin when he says he owes her a debt. He believes she has been suffering because of him. Yeon doesn't argue because it is also true. Chae-woo keeps kissing her and wonders what he should do. Our girl is blushing and confused. She keeps stammering and finally tells him to remain calm and stop being intimate. She wants his illness to heal quickly. Chae-woo recites her instructions again and believes he can fulfill them. Well, except for one. He pulls the girl close and says he can't control his desires. He is amused because her pale face is now bright red. The girl hides her face in her shirt, trying to avoid him. She is too cute and Chae-woo laughs loudly. Yeon is stunned by his good looks. She wonders how he will react if he discovers that his smile is enough compensation for her. Chae-woo is happy. He can tell that Yeon's feelings for him have changed and compares himself to her ex-husband, which is also him, by the way. The man smirks and admires the clothes she bought for him. He remembers how shy she looked as she claimed it was because of the cold weather. He can tell she is opening up to him and wants to hug her and possess her body. But Chae-woo has to hold back. He is afraid he might become like her ex-husband and she would end up hating him. He refuses to take her by force and wants her to offer herself to him. The man decides to meet the famous Gishok for some advice, but somehow, the men end up talking about monkeys. The boy believes Chae-woo only has a chance if he becomes a young monkey. He explains that young monkeys smell good. Chae-woo defends himself, saying he also washes properly. He claims young men aren't popular because they have no money or experience and are just burdens. The child is confused because Chae-woo is also broke. Our male lead freezes in shock as Gishok lists all his disadvantages. He is unemployed and lazies around, showing off his strength. Yeon does all the work, and even the clothes the man is wearing were bought by her. Chae-woo is speechless and stares at his clothes in pain. Gishok calls him a shutter man, a man who lives off his wife. He succeeds in breaking Chae-woo's heart, and the man turns to dust. Yeon looks nervous as she tries to discourage the stubborn Chae-woo from following her to work. The man shamelessly refuses to leave and says he can help with the heavy lifting. He claims a boar might appear, but the girl believes that would never happen again. The man decides to use his secret weapon, a lunchbox and his gorgeous smile. As expected, Yeon is speechless and starts blushing. She realizes with some horror that she is becoming weak for him. Our couple head to the mountains and Lee Yeon focuses on her work. Behind them, Chae-woo watches her with a silly smile. Evening arrives and Yeon takes a break. Chae-woo mentions how her expression changes when she starts working. She always seems in control. The girl explains that the trees make her comfortable. Because she spent her younger days playing with a certain tree, she soon fell in love with nature. Chae-woo is curious and thinks the tree is a spruce because of the hospital's name. Yeon doesn't know what kind of tree it was, but admits the hospital's name is related to it. She had never told anyone apart from Chuja about the singing tree. She thought no one would believe her and she didn't have close friends to talk to. Yeon decides to share the story with Chae-woo, but the man never replies. She begins to panic, thinking he also doubts her. Meanwhile, Chae-woo is just obsessed with her cute face. He quickly slaps his naughty thoughts away and asks about the music. The girl still looks upset but reveals it was a cello. Chae-woo is stunned as his memories begin to return. Yeon has no idea, and explains she chose the name spruce because the tree is used to make cellos. She didn't know what kind of tree it was and just called it the singing tree. Yeon is finally talking about her past, and Chae-woo knows he has to listen. But his head hurts too much. The girl is still talking about her past when she notices a wound on a tree. She panics and runs over to examine it. She notices how deep it is and assumes it is a knife wound. She examines the other trees and they are all marked. Lee Yeon realizes that this is some kind of signpost. She follows the marks and arrives at a restricted area she has never seen before. The sun is setting and Yeon knows the place is too dangerous. She decides to treat the trees and head back. But when she turns around to take a tool from Chae-woo, she realizes she's all alone. The girl screams because she had completely forgotten Chae-woo. Our main leads are both panicking. Yeon blames herself for losing Chae-woo, while the man scolds himself for taking his eyes off her. The girl remembers her promise not to abandon him and feels like beating herself up. Meanwhile, Chae-woo recalls Gishok's insults and feels he is really useless. The two are ready to take responsibility if anything happens to their partner. Yeon is blaming herself when she hears footsteps approaching. She turns around, thinking it is Chae-woo. Instead, she sees a group of men led by a short man. She assumes they are regular hikers and advises them to turn back because this is a dead end. The men stare at her and start discussing. The leader thinks she is from the city hall or police force and says their negotiations have ended. Lee Yeon has no idea what they are talking about and reveals her identity as a tree doctor. The men stop staring at her and begin to laugh. They all mock her job. The girl is starting to have weird feelings. She recalls the news she watched about illegal harvesting and realizes these men are harvesters. She plans to escape and report them, but the men would never let her go. Yeon can tell things are getting dangerous. The leader thinks she is lying and plans to teach her a lesson. Our heroine is nervous and wishes her man could appear. Chae-woo is tracing his woman and looks upset when he sees her hat on the floor. He is sure she was following the knife marks. He is correct and soon discovers her footprints. But he can also see several footprints from different men. He also spots the abandoned banner and already knows what happened. Chae-woo is furious and begins to gather his tools. He is ready to cut off every hand that touched his woman and rip out their throats. But he soon remembers Yeon's request. He had promised to let go of his aggressive thoughts. Chae-woo sinks into despair because that is impossible. His mind is filled with cruel thoughts, and violence feels natural to him. He finally realizes he will never be the innocent man Yeon wants. She is someone who feels pity, even for flowers, and they both have different lives. Chae-woo knows he can't hold on to her if they have different paths. He is determined to chase her but also wants to pull her into the darkness with him. He makes up his mind and gently kisses her hat. Chae-woo soon arrives at a secret lodging. He feels smug because the dumb men had left their footprints everywhere. He is ready to begin his mission, but someone suddenly attacks him. The young man questions Chae-woo, but our male lead snatches his weapon and chokes the boy. He promises to spare his life if the man fulfills his request. The boy agrees only to hear the most absurd request. Chae-woo wants him to hit him. He even lowers his head to make it easier for the young man. The boy regrets meeting this lunatic. He stares at Chae-woo's glittering face and makes sure to give him a hard punch. Turns out his punch is too weak, and Chae-woo decides to do it himself. He has no idea he has just traumatized the poor kid and even asks for his opinion. He wants to look pitiful because Yeon loves taking care of sick people. The boy is speechless, and Chae-woo thinks he isn't pitiful enough. He is about to punch himself again, but the kid quickly stops him. He says he looks bad, and our male lead is finally pleased. He orders the boy to beat him up and take him to his wife. The kid says a silent apology to his fellow brothers because he is about to bring home a crazy man. Yeon remembers the Hwaido she first saw. The city was so pure, she decided at a glance to build her clinic here. But somehow, her beautiful city has turned into a den of criminals. The girl is tied up and watches the men gather some red flowers which are used for drugs. She recalls her conversation with the men, realizing that the city hall and police are working with the criminals. Everything is a mess. The leader notices she is awake and approaches. He expects her to be scared, but is surprised by her calm look. Of course, our heroine is terrified. But after visiting the Kwan's mansion, this place seems like child play. The man threatens her, but Lee Yeon is busy panicking. She imagines her sweet Chae-woo falling off the cliff while looking for her and almost faints. She calms down when she remembers the man was burying people in the mountains when she first met him. Yeon panics again as she imagines a wild animal attacking Chae-woo. She has to remind herself he killed a wild boar with his bare hands. The girl keeps twisting around, making the leader wonder if she became stupid after he knocked her out. Lee Yeon forces herself to believe her man is strong, but just then a young boy appears and he is dragging the helpless-looking Chae-woo with him. Yeon is in disbelief, but the leader is annoyed with the crazy couple. He plans to send Chae-woo on a boat, but orders his men to beat him up first. Yeon is alarmed and starts screaming. She wants to stop them from hurting him, but forgets she is tied to a chair and falls over. She knows the real Chae-woo is a terrifying man, but is shocked when the men start beating him up. She yells at him, wondering why he is accepting the beating. She knows he is strong enough to hit them back, but the man just lies there as they torture him. She doesn't understand why he isn't fighting back until the man explains. He is hiding his aggressive nature because she hates it. Yeon is stunned and remembers the vow she forced him to make. The girl realizes that she was the one who caged him. She calls the man a fool, wondering why he becomes timid during such times. She is ready to accept his violent side if it stops him from getting hurt. She doesn't care about his illness anymore and begs him to destroy them all. Chae-woo is pleased because she is finally accepting his dark side. He smiles and thanks her because he can now show these men who is the boss. Chae-woo attacks and defeats each man with a single move. The leader tries to sneak an attack on him, but our male lead dodges and throws him around like an empty sack. Yeon wasn't expecting this supreme-level attack and looks totally confused. Chae-woo rushes to free her and she stares at him in shock. She can't understand why he took those beatings when he is so strong. She looks at the defeated men lying on the floor, all looking half dead. Chae-woo notices her stunned face and immediately cowers, hoping she won't be too angry since no one died. Yeon can't understand why this aggressive man turns into a little cat in front of her. He keeps worrying about her injuries when his whole boy is covered in wounds. The girl stops smiling and calls his name. She warns him to stop caring about her, leaving the man in shock. Chae-woo is stunned when Yeon begs him to stop caring about her. He is afraid she doesn't want him and shivers like a little child, saying he didn't kill anyone. Yeon is surprised because the man misunderstood her words. She explains the meaning and asks him to stop being so careful around her. She is ready to accept his fighting skills and even praises him. She thinks he can use his skills to catch insects for Gyeobek or chase away the bad guys. She feels sorry for calling his behavior an illness. The girl looks serious as she thanks him for saving her life. Her words affect Chae-woo so much he doesn't know where to look. He finally looks up and gives her a bright smile. Yeon is stunned by his good looks. She realizes that this is the first time she is thanking him after all the times he saved her. She is too shy to look at him, and just then, the leader's phone starts playing a romantic song. Talk about good timing. The caller has no idea his men have been exposed and is still waiting for his flowers at the port. The leader speaks in a normal voice, but he has no choice, because Chae-woo is holding a knife over his neck. Our male lead sits on the leader's back as he recalls the man's threat to slice him up and send him to the boat. Yan urges him to get off, but only because the leader is too dirty. The poor man probably feels like dying now. Chae-woo studies the address and suddenly smirks. He calls the girl's name and teases her with a first date at the sea. Our poor heroine is speechless. Yan is in a car with the bad guys and is in a full panic mood. She regrets giving Chae-woo his freedom because he has gone completely wild. The man isn't bothered and even has the time to look like a supermodel. He explains that leaving the men around would give them a chance to retaliate, so he has to destroy them all. He offers to drop the idea if she agrees to take him everywhere with her. Yan knows he is right because the Hwaido police can't be trusted. She finds Chae-woo's innocent face deceiving because he is very smart. He even remembered to take some pictures as evidence. The man doesn't know, but she has branded him a real criminal. The girl is terrified when she sees him with a mask over his face, acting like a hostage. The two fight like little lovers, totally forgetting they are with some bad guys and might be heading to their doom. The group finally arrives at a building. Chae-woo warns the girl to stay inside the car and lock the doors. Yan is hoping she can follow him, but the man says it is dangerous. The girl insists on going with him. She knows she is useless, but she is scared to send him inside alone. Chae-woo almost gives in to her cute face, so he quickly pulls his mask on. He advises her to eat her meal and immediately leaves. Yan watches him act like a hostage. The girl is filled with fear and is afraid something bad might happen. She tries to convince herself he will be fine and holds on to his promise to visit the sea together. Meanwhile, Chae-woo meets the big boss, who is smoking a cigarette. He scolds our male lead for messing with his orders. He asks about his other boys, and the leader claims they are cleaning up the warehouse. The boss is surprised by Chae-woo's calm behavior and decides to kick him around. Our male lead doesn't react, and the boss wonders if he is part of a secret organization. The young boy is afraid their lies would be exposed, so he thinks of an excuse. The boss doesn't notice his terrified look and decides to end Chae-woo's life with a bullet. The boss is prepared to shoot and tells the young boy to bring the gun. He starts yelling at the kid when he doesn't move. The young boy screams, and when the boss turns around, he sees Chae-woo attacking him with a knife. Our male lead slashes his neck, and while the men watch in horror, throws the boss into the sea. The men are shocked into silence before they remember they are supposed to attack him. They rush at Chae-woo and he smiles, ready to begin an epic fight. Now what is going to happen next? Comment Lorax below to find out. Until next time, ciao!